My mother is filing a case against my father. He wants me to stop.
Stop!
I've had a tough family situation for a long time, but have gotten exhausted trying to get help or advice because it is such a complicated situation, and psychologists, lawyers, therapists, etc. have never been any help. But I'm begging Reddit for help right now because I have just been put in the most uncomfortable and anxiety-inducing situation I could imagine. By the way, this comes from u/Abhayas Inha. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, I think I'll have to start from the beginning, though, if you can bear with me. My parents divorced when I was 10. My mom decided to take me back to the U.S. with her when they did, and tried to give me the best she could despite having to house hop and couch crash and sublet for a year or two. She got me to go to a really good private school that offered us financial help. My parents' divorce agreement consisted of a child support every month, which included part of the apartment for me, and everything that wasn't officially in the child support, such as extraneous flights, gifts, computers, phones, etc., had to be split 2/3 for my dad and 1/3 for my mom. This caused my mom to often claim reimbursements from. It got really complicated, though, when he wouldn't agree to buy something or on the amount he owed. And at the age of 13, I already had to start financially mediating.
That sucks.
A
You have
13-year-old
to financially mediate?
between
That
the parents.
sucks.
My dad always found ways to modify our purchases so they were a little less expensive, etc., while my mom went through me to get him to pay some things back. At around 15, 16, I also started participating. So if I wanted a computer, I would put in a couple $100 I had earned from my own pocket, things like that. I thought this was pretty fair since some things were expensive, but my mom chalked it up to negligence on his part because it meant that she had to pay more than her share, 1/3, and that he wasn't fulfilling his obligations to them. So you can already kind of see the tension here. He was always pretty well off with several houses, but pretty stingy with his money still. I remember my mom being annoyed at the fact that I never got pocket money when I went to my dad. For example, while she always made sure I had my own money, even if it was only a little. The real problem started in my senior year of high school, though. To begin with, I really wanted to apply to a bunch of American colleges because I was setting my sights high at the time and was considering going to art school. I had really good grades. My parents are European, though, so they never really saved that kind of thing. Regardless, I still applied in the hopes of getting scholarships or financial aid, but my dad refused to give the universities any of his financial information.
That's so frustrating. Why? It's like, they can't know.
They don't know where I live. He also didn't agree with me going to school in the US as he wanted me to study back home where it's really cheap. The reason I didn't want to go, though, is that schools back home are very local and the majors have the same flexibility. Campus is basically non-existent, and most students are there out of obligation rather than being passionate about it. In any case, that fell through, but then my dad offered me a gap year abroad in a foreign country. My mom was furious at the proposition because she thought that it was an unnecessary expense and that it was a ploy to get me to go to school back home cheaply. She also didn't have the means to allow me to go on a gap year and declined paying. I guess she would still potentially have to pay a third
of it,
that,
yeah.
even though it's his idea.
Yeah.
I ended up accepting my dad's offer, though, and as I didn't have many options at the time. I had also already started learning the foreign language and could continue learning it while being there and being a host. The program was rather expensive, $20,000, and I was confused as to why he didn't want to pay for a good uni but was willing to pay for a gap year. But I didn't ask too many questions at the time. This caused me a lot of problems later on, though, when him and my whole family on his side were pressing me to go to college back home instead of abroad. By that time, I had set my sights on England as it seemed like a good middle ground. I ended up having to go through a lot of crap, but finally got 2 scholarships at a good English tuition is around $7,000 instead of the would-be $12,000, convincing my dad. Fast forward to now, and I've just finished my first year at uni there. My dad's payments, however, have strayed way off the divorce agreement. In my country, the parents are required to pay the college tuition of the children unless they are financially incapable of doing so. Instead of fulfilling his child support obligations every month, he also decided to deal only with me after I turned 18 and created his own budget. I had to also send him every single receipt so he could double check where this money was going.
Oh my God. It's clearly OP has like a good head on his shoulders, you know? This isn't a kid who's just like, I'm going to take the money and buy video games or
This
something.
kid who's mediated his parents'
Yeah.
financial
Yeah.
he was 13.
Exactly.
Mind you, this budget exceeded the child support.
Oh.
However, because everything was on his terms, he was not consistent and did not pay my mom for certain.
That's frustrating.
Now my mother is filing a court case against my dad on the grounds that he is an irresponsible parent. Her justifications for this are that he didn't pay her back for many important expenses, that he didn't fulfill his child support obligations every month as per the contract, and that he sends money how he sees fit without any stability. However, he says that this accusation is ridiculous because he has given me more funds than needed, and he paid for the whole gap year, which my mom refused to participate in. He also states that he has never not fulfilled my basic needs and has even been generous in what he has given me. I never wanted anything to do with the court case, as I told my mom, but I'm being dragged into it.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. Like, you are an adult now and you're still getting dragged into child support arguments. Like, so frustrating.
And it's weird that the court case is now popping up that he's 19. I mean, I know they have to pay through his college.
Yeah.
But
No, I feel like I would just, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if you can do this, but I would tell my parents that I'm not going to be at all involved in this.
no, I'm at uni.
Yeah.
I'm studying.
Yeah.
My dad has told me that if I don't do anything about it, I will be the victim of the situation. He doesn't have a job now and cannot afford going to court and paying for a university in England, even though he has been traveling and going on cruises with my jobless stepmom since he has retired. I feel like it would still work out in the situation if he did go to court.
Yeah. I think so. What are they going to do?
Make him sell one of his 8 houses?
Yeah.
He is therefore asking me to put a stop to all of this. If I don't, he cannot participate in my schooling in England and will instead only fund studies back home at a local. I'm really confused, Reddit. I obviously can't change universities right now as I only have 2 more years. I've already looked into student loan options and other ways to fund my studies. I'm so tired of relying on my dad for money because everything always ends up getting manipulated into his way of doing. I feel like I've already made so many compromises. The whole situation is really emotionally draining. I don't know who to side with. I know that I should let the courts decide, but the whole ordeal will only cause damage. And I want to believe him when he says he does want to support me, but I can't stand being accused of being an irresponsible dad. My mom, on the other side, has been effed over so many times by having to pay more, even though she has a much lower salary, as she is not doing financial. I don't know whether I should put my foot down or stop the court case, let it go, and lose all my support, funding, relationship with my dad, or what. I'm really sorry for how long this is, but it feels good to just get it all out. I don't really have any other family members / adults around that I can trust, and there is an update.
This is so tricky because I really don't know what the best case or the best, thing to do in this situation is.
Because it's not his responsibility.
No, not at all. And I feel like this is so legal,
Yeah.
related that I can't offer great advice on it. But my first instinct is to not just tell him that you're not going to be involved and hope that he's, not going to cut off funding for your school.
I also do wonder, though, if he just goes to one hearing or one court appearance, if he can get the judge to make it that way.
Yeah.
Hey, you're the kid in the situation. You don't have to come back.
Yeah, he's like, he corners the judge before the hearing. He's like, hey,
listen to me.
Can you just please tell them that I shouldn't be here? Please.
Please let me go. Studying.
Yeah.
I was 20 years old and in panic over my familial and financial situation. A court case was brewing between my mother and father. My mother accused him of owing him a lot of child support money. It received some comments which were helpful, but it was a very confusing time. After having refused to get involved in the court case drama, my mother admitted to me that she was in a lot of debt and didn't see a way out.
The fact that she's doing it while you were in school, she clearly needs that money.
She was afraid of not being able to make rent. I was also in a tough spot because I wasn't eligible for student loans in England. I qualified as an international student at the time, and I couldn't take out a private loan to education. I also realized that not getting involved wasn't exactly a neutral position. A lot of the money that my father owed my mother was actually money that he owed me.
Which is, again, we don't know all the legal stuff about this. So.
Right. when it comes to expenses after I was 18, my mother had in large part paid what he hadn't for me to be able to continue my education. If I wasn't involved, then she could not get that money back. To be clear, in my country, child support must be paid to the other parent or the child if they are above 18 until they are self-sufficient according to the means of the parents. My father had the means, he just refused to collaborate according to the actual divorce agreement a lot of the time and made his own rules. This was not legal in any way. Although my father technically provided for me in some ways, he did not meet the basic requirements of the divorce contract in many ways. I decided around 3 years ago that I couldn't not be involved, but that I would be involved as little as possible. I remembered a conversation that I had with my parents' divorce lawyer when I was 17. I had sought him out to try to understand their financial conflict and what to do about it. He had told me that if my father did not pay for my university, I should absolutely take it. I therefore did the following. I allowed my mother to legally file charges against my father on my behalf for money owed after I was 18. Okay, so he had to in some way be involved to allow the court case to happen because the funds froze.
Yes. Which, this all makes a little bit. I feel like I was operating on, like, they were trying to get him involved.
He didn't need to be there.
He needs to be there.
Yeah. Apart from a couple of documents signed that allowed her to do this, I am not really involved in the court case and have asked that my mother and father keep me out of it.
I think that's great. This is all good.
However, as you can imagine, my father felt extremely betrayed.
Boo-hoo.
However, as I saw it, this was now in the court's hands, and they were a better party to decide who was right than I could ever. So I stuck with my decision and tried to explain my reason to him, which fell on deaf ears. He kept trying to manipulate me into stopping the court case, use details of our personal conversations to stop the proceeding. After that, we essentially ceased contact. During this time, I entered a deep depression and became self-harm.
Oh.
I felt so guilty and so lost, like I had no worth. I was confused and kept questioning my decisions, but at least that decision kept me studying, and I did so well. Throughout the years, I worked so hard, no matter how depressed I got. I went to my classes, I got good grades, and I kept my scholarship. I eventually graduated top of my class with 2 awards from faculty. I also went to therapy and got a job to start supporting myself and ease the financial strain. In therapy, we talked about guilt and how this was my parents' problem, not mine, and how to set boundaries. I also had a lot of childhood trauma that we worked through with EMDR therapy, which I highly recommend. I had spent a lot of my childhood feeling abandoned and emotionally alone, pitted between my parents. Being able to find a sense of self through therapy was so beneficial. I remember during one session, my therapist told me that my body looked much more calm. In the past, I was always shivering and moving around in the chair, and now I was sitting still. We had come a long way. There was also a lot to unpack about my relationship with my mother. I also became slightly estranged from her despite keeping contact. Emotionally, she was frantic due to the stress of finances, and I couldn't cope with all of her victim mentality. I grew into myself, and my mom and I have a much better relationship now, as she understands that I won't take sides and that I don't want to talk about my father with her. By the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another update.
I mean, it really sucks that you don't have the relationship that you want with your parents.
Yeah.
That's totally their fault. Like, they've put you in this situation your whole life, and at least you're getting the money that you're owed.
At least you're getting the money, and it was good that there was a way around the whole have to be in.
Yeah.
Okay, fast forward to today. I am doing really well in life. The court case is still ongoing.
Oh, God.
3 years into
this
future,
poor man.
But I am not very aware of it in my daily life. I have an amazing boyfriend and friend. Although I have largely gotten used to life without my father, sometimes I do miss the good times we've shared together in the past. A couple of days ago, he sent me an email stating that he misses me and wants to connect. I ended up giving him a call today. However, as soon as we got past the pleasantries, he brought up the court case and that it's time to stop attacking him.
That's, like, diabolical. The fact that he used, I want to reconnect as an excuse to try and get you to talk about this court case.
When I tried to explain my position, he said that it was unacceptable and that he wouldn't have a relationship with me as long as I continued to support the court case. I don't know what to do or how to relate to him in these circumstances. He made me feel like I am the main instigator in the situation when this has been ongoing since I was 10, and in my mind, I am doing the best to resolve it. I feel the guilt and blame I worked so hard in therapy to work through coming back. I want a relationship with him, but on my terms, but I don't know what these terms should be. Also, is he correct? Have I effed up by getting involved? I feel like no matter what I would have done, I would be blamed, and I'm so sick of being in this position. I just want to live my life in peace. I know this is quite long and complicated, so I'll just cut it short. If you need any clarifications or have questions, I will edit the post and answer.
But that's the end of that story,
Woo.
folks. My wife cheated while pregnant, but now she's telling everyone I'm the cheater.
That's not how that works.
Trigger warning, mentions of abuse. My wife is a pretty terrible person. I'll explain in a second, and you can yell at me if you think I'm being unfair by calling her that. And I probably shouldn't have married her or even dated her in the first place. She has 2 awesome kids with another man, and I began being in their lives when they were 1 and 4. By the way, this comes from Good Competition 5741, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I knew their mom back in high school and had a brief, strictly physical relationship with her. Strictly physical, no emotion. Then we went dark with each other until reconnecting like 12 years later. She was fun and we had the same humor. She was everything I wanted in a mate, and I loved hanging out with her and her kids. But then she kept randomly going back to their father, who is terribly harmful. I tell you all this so you know why I stayed as long as I did. I was able to provide for her kids and her, and prevent her from taking them back into a horrible household. Fast forward 4 years, we had a child together. We did Christmas, her and I, her 2 kids, our new baby girl. I thanked God that I had everything I'd ever need in my life, and things were good. I'd later find out that 6 months later, she began sleeping with her ex. I'd even find out that she'd been sleeping with him while she was pregnant with our daughter. The thought makes me physically ill and torments me every day. I want to leave her, but there were these little children, and I would rather have gone through the worst torture imaginable than see them go live with the ex, especially my daughter, who is my world, but the other kids as well, as I love them very much too. We went to a marriage counselor, but she would often storm out when things fell on her, and she'd have to take responsibility. Things got somewhat calmer, but she never seemed to want to treat me with much love or respect, even as I worked my butt off to make sure we all had everything we needed, plus trips, etc. She didn't work at all. So much is being left out, but I doubt anyone will even read this. It's so long. Anyway, fast forward to November 2024. She had almost never been a participant in our marriage, no matter what I did. I'd given up on all the stuff I did for so many years to show her how much I loved her, and focused on just being the best dad and stepdad I could be. Without my being a good husband, there was nobody participating in the marriage anymore, so it turned into more of a roommate situation where I still paid for everything. It should be mentioned that I constantly begged her to do fun stuff with me like we used to. I told her that all our relationship needed was for us to actually try. So one night, it was my friend's father's birthday. This family is my second family, and I went to the birthday party. It got late, like midnight, and she texts me to tell me that since I could spend the night out places, she's going to as well. She tells me that next weekend she's going to go out with a friend. I said, why not go out with your husband if you're finally willing to do something? That would be great. She was going to meet a guy she worked with, someone I'm pretty sure she'd already been sleeping with. This is a terrible, terrible situation.
I don't like this story.
This is dreadful. IOP. Is there any way that we can have some custody of these kids?
Right, and wouldn't there possibly be a way, obviously, yeah, we're worried about all the kids, but
Yeah.
he's and specifically, my daughter's never going to that ex's house.
Well, you can
say that in the custody agreement?
You could say he's incredibly abusive if you have any,
Yeah.
whatever proof you have of this, start gathering that proof.
Right,
you
because
know?
the other kids are his. The
One kid is
exes.
his. The other kids are the exes.
The exes, yeah, that's what I meant. Because, I don't know that you can necessarily control that situation, unfortunately.
Probably not.
But for your own kid, yeah, you 100% can
Yeah.
do something about that.
I got mad at how stupid this all was, and we both agreed we should get a divorce and be done with all of this. I was the first to take off my ring because of how angry all this made me. The whole marriage, I dreamed of a day she would actually care and try, that all the suffering would be worth it, and we could all be a happy family. We all deserved that. This was never going to happen, unfortunately. She started openly dating the guy. She would go over to his house every Friday night and come back with spicy kiss marks all over her neck like she's 17. She's 37. A couple months into this, I decided I needed to go out with someone for my own good. But who? I went on a 50 Shades Club site I had previously made an account on for other purposes. Long story.
Other purposes? What are the other purposes
What are
of
the
that?
other purposes? It does. 50 Shades Club might be a change because it's in brackets. So I wonder what the original thing was. And talked to a girl who I eventually met up with. She did not look like she did in her pics, and I was not attracted. Classic. They never do. But I had lunch with her and decided I needed to at least give it a shot. We met up a second time and drove around and then got baked. Outside the car smoking, she tried to get me to have spicy sleep with her. I felt really awkward about it, but gave it the college try and couldn't do it. Literally couldn't physically or mentally do it. I felt really defeated in every way possible and told this woman that we were just not going to work out in any way. She flipped out. I was using her for spicy sleep, even though we never even had spicy sleep, and met on a site about spicy sleep. We spent less than 4 hours together total ever, but she went on a Facebook group for women who think their boyfriend is dating someone else and put my picture and info up. That's insane.
Oh, that's that Facebook group. Are we dating the same guy? Probably.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness. I felt very violated, but whatever. A friend of my wife saw this and didn't know we were no longer together. She informed my ex, who then got completely unfairly angry. She had zero right to care or even know. She started saying she was going to make stuff up so she could leave with the kids and move to the other side of the country. I'm flipping out. That's my family, my child. Anyway, last part, I promise, if you are reading this. Things calmed down and we realized we needed each other just to make it in this terrible economy. No! No! OP!
Maybe they mean like divorced, but like
okay,
co-living?
Well, seems so. We filed for divorce, but decided to cohabitate for the sake of the kids. She admitted to being the worst possible wife, though she still claims she married me because she loved me, and not just to use me for the money and stability for the kids. But it was she who left this marriage, if she was ever a part of it, not me. And yet now I just found out that she's been telling her family we're divorcing because she found out I was cheating on her with a woman from this website I was using. Can you believe it? She cheated on me more times than I can count with an ex and a janitor from her work, and she's pretending to her family who likes me and recognizes the stability I brought to her and the kids' lives, and to look justified since she cannot explain any real reason other than lust and immaturity why she would leave me. She's trying to lie to everyone about me, so am I the a-hole if I tell everyone the truth? I have 13 years of texts outlining how absolutely terrible she is. I seriously have had to go through a ton of counseling. She's a terrible, horrible, deranged person, and the story right now is that I cheated on her and broke up our marriage. Honestly, no.
Yeah, tell them.
Yeah, tell them. Because at this point, it's not even just like petty revenge. This is your family is at risk.
Too.
Your reputation's at risk. Yeah.
I like too that he's like, can you believe she would do? Yeah, I unfortunately really can.
Yeah.
Which isn't great,
sucks.
but
yeah, but I think this is no longer just like petty. This is the custody of my child is at stake, because they could convince her to take your kids away. She could convince a court if she's got like a bunch of people on her side. There are many things at risk here if you don't tell them the truth.
And I don't think it's wrong even just for the sake of relationships with that part of the family.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you would lose support from them if they think this is true. Note, please know she can also be the funniest, most awesome, caring person. Dude, you don't have to.
We don't need the backtrack.
Yeah.
You opened this with
you said she's the worst person ever. We don't need to go back. I just haven't seen that version of her in years now, and honestly, very little ever. But enough for me to fall in love with it. She was diagnosed with BPD when she was younger, and then supposedly a second doctor said no. He's like, nah, you're good.
That's rough then, because if that is unmedicated BPD that needs to be medicated, that could honestly be the cause of a lot of this.
Absolutely. My heart breaks for her and the kids, knowing how easily everything could be for us all. But therapy has shown me that is not a realistic thing to ever expect to happen. And comment 1 says, you're both in need of a lot of therapy, my friend. OP says, I've been in therapy since we both did counseling together. She was seeing a therapist for a bit, and it was helping a ton, but then she had to switch to remote when the vid happened, and just stopped completely, and things got terrible after that. My cortisol levels from stress have been so bad, I've been having heart issues caused by it. Comment 2 says, not the a-hole, tell the family if necessary, but you really only need to worry about the kids. Document her cheating or these agreements you two have been having for the courts. OP says her cheating is documented through her family court cases with her ex that she cheated on me with. Can you believe I sat in a courtroom holding her hand and then listening to him tell everyone in court about his affair with my wife and how long it spanned and how it wasn't just spicy sleep, but a relationship. How they would meet as I worked my butt off to make sure she didn't have to work, when she pretended to be staying at her mother's and would leave the kids there with her and meet up with him, etc. So many, okay, now she has no choice but to snap out of this and realize how much better life is for everyone when she is the version of herself that rocks and just gives even just a little to her marriage and the family dynamic. Things are finally going to be better and make this all worth it. Moments. So many. And that's the end of that story. OP, please prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
Please.
And your kids.
Yeah.
My serial cheater husband tried therapy to fix us, but nothing changed.
Let me guess. He still cheated.
Probably. And by the way, this comes directly from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So this is one of our own
One
right
of our
now.
own little babies.
Wow.
All right. Let's find out.
My 34 female husband, 30 male, Alan, has a long and sordid history of cheating emotionally and physically on me and in every relationship prior. This is something I've been trying to work through with him since finding out 3 weeks before our secret courthouse wedding. Oh, wow. Because he wanted to elope. Yikes. By the way, this comes from Interesting Slice 117. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. We will read it for you. So, it's since been 3.5 years. We have 3 wonderful children together, a singleton from a previous relationship, and twins 2 years old. The marriage is public knowledge now, so are the children, and unfortunately, not much has changed. Every 3 months, it's something inappropriate or full-blown, no, really, that's cheating, that Alan tries to brush off. So, let's get started. So, the messages. About 2 months ago was the most recent incident, or so I thought. My husband has had a long-time crush on a woman, let's call her Sally. In a group chat, my husband had made a joke referencing having commissioned Sally to make a corn-related art back when my husband and I first started dating, which I knew about and was fine with at the time, as I had no idea about the crush. Well, I don't think you would make those jokes about someone you didn't have a crush on.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, I suppose, she saw as setting the tone for what was appropriate to talk about within the boundaries of our marriage, and while I was very upset for a while, I can't blame her for reading it as a social cue. But she took it a step further. She private messaged him a few hours later about a mutual interest in a corn-related fandom that she was talking to his best friend, Sean, about, while my husband was on the phone with Sean and elected to not keep it an inside joke. They got to bonding over it, and she even sent spicy art that she had drawn of it. Oh, wow. This conversation lasted 2 days. In addition to cheating, my husband is a habitual liar through outright lies and lies of omission. So when Alan told me about it, he phrased it as if it were a passing comment. She's simply admitting to being embarrassed about being interested in a corn fandom about cartoon characters. What Alan didn't know was the phone we used for the autistic twins' speech therapy, which was his old phone, we had only just recently upgraded. It was still signed into his messenger and everything else. The morning of the second day, it wouldn't stop dinging from the flurry of messages sent one after the other of this fandom. One of the children had flipped the iPhone switch on the side off of silent, and I read it all. It wasn't something I was willing to bring up because we were headed to his parents' house for the weekend. But when he returned home from work, he actually brought it up, which is surprising to me because he almost never admits to anything I don't already know about. I was weirdly pleased. Until, of course, he omitted so much of the conversation. He made it sound as if she only sheepishly mentioned it in a group chat, and I had to step away. At dinner that night, I let him know that I knew everything. I slept alone that night, and we left for his parents' house the following morning. It wasn't until we were arriving at his parents' house that I explained it had been long enough of this. For relevant context, for reference, I'm naturally polyamorous and he is not. I had offered monogamy, and as someone on the spectrum, I've noticed it's different for everyone, so I let him set the rules. When a friend joking with me about a silly spicy hobby made him uncomfortable, I explained to the friend that I had agreed to monogamy as defined by my then boyfriend at the time, and that conversations about spicy hobbies and spicy related content weren't okay with him. My friend understood, and I have abided by every boundary for our relationship he's ever set, saying because it means something different to him, because such conversations are more than just a joke in his eyes. He would like us to not engage in conversations like that. So I agreed to this. So when he would do the same things he explained meant more, I knew what they meant to him, and I had begged him to change and to stop lying to me, stop chatting up old flames for days on end, stop touching people inappropriately, especially in front of me. But every 3 months, it was something new. Nothing changed. Yikes, every 3 months? Oh my gosh.
Why, OP,
When
if you knew that he was like a serial liar and a serial cheater,
Mhm.
why did you continue to further this
Yeah.
relationship? He's disrespecting you,
Mhm.
not just once, not just twice, but it seems like frequently,
Yeah.
and you don't deserve that.
No. This is like you're being so forgiving of this man that does not deserve it.
It's especially when it got to the point of kids.
Yeah.
But I feel like prior to this, and that's probably what we're getting the context of. Prior, it still was going on before the kids. So I
Yeah.
don't. Well,
He does
Hmm.
not seem like a good choice for a partner.
yeah.
So now Alvin had a choice. He could either stop clowning around or we could get a divorce. And while I would be polite, since this was a family event we were arriving at soon, Alan should not misconstrue this as me being magically over it, as he has in the past. The choice was simple: do something. When Alan asked what, I said, I don't know, therapy? To which he replied almost in a threatening way, oh, I'll do something. So I expected to see some sort of change, though I was put off by the word choice and tone. Alan had done therapy before, but only because he was forced into it, and it changed nothing about his behavior. His therapist explained that real change has to come from within. Just showing up to talk because someone else wants you to isn't enough. Naturally, Alan stopped going when insurance stopped covering that particular therapist and never sought another. That was 2 years ago, right after he blatantly flirted with the NICU nurses following the emergency C-section of our twins.
That's
Oh my gosh.
wild. He flirted with the nurses
Yeah. When
as you gave
just-
birth. Like literally,
Ugh.
you just gave birth to your twins, and he.
That is beyond crappy. My goodness.
Why?
Why? So, fast forward 2 weeks from the family event, nothing had changed, but Alan acted like things were fine again, trying to touch me, compliment me, and make small talk as if I wasn't crushed by that conversation, which was clearly not just a joke. That night, when he tried to cuddle, I asked when his therapy appointment was. Alan looked genuinely confused. What therapy appointment? I lost it. I told you, stop clowning me around or I want divorce. You promised to do something to change your behavior. Cue his complaints. I haven't done anything since then. The next morning, he scheduled an appointment for 2 weeks later, then immediately tried to be affectionate again as if nothing happened. I told him no. Over the next 2 weeks, while waiting for the appointment I had forced him to make, Alan began to withdraw. I only texted him if it was important, yet somehow he didn't have time to reply. While, as I later found out, spending hours each day on the phone with his best friend, Sean. Sean and my husband went way back. My husband even used to have a thing for Sean, having nearly kissed him a year or so before my husband and I had started dating. This thought was a thing of the past because Alan said it was, but the phone calls, which used to be every other day for maybe 30 minutes when Alan had something to talk about, went to every day, then 3 hours a day, then 6 hours a day. That is like a job at that point.
And oh wait, don't forget, he's a father too.
Yeah.
Where's
Oh my
that time
gosh.
going with your kids?
Yikes, man. When appointment day finally arrived, my husband again tried to act like everything was fixed, even though it was a meet and greet conversation. Of course, again, I shut this down since nothing was yet fixed. This time, however, Alan continued to ignore me to spend time on the phone with Sean, who I later learned he had been talking to about our relationship. Sean called me ridiculous for still being upset and questioned why I expected my husband to change overnight, while simultaneously calling me cold and unfeeling for not acting like things were fixed overnight. So my husband kept pushing. When Alan wasn't on the phone with Sean, he was trying to force us back to normal, claiming that he had done the therapy and I was still expecting more. And he was right. I was. Deep down, I think what I wanted to see from him was a self-motivated effort to change, to stay married to me, not simply checking off a box to appease me, but really engaging and trying to change. A Google search asking for advice on how to be honest or stop cheating or trying to cheat, something. Some tangible effort. Alan said he understood. As the last 2 weeks have gone by, he's been on the phone with Sean pretty much from the moment he opened his eyes to the moment he closes them, still attempting to interact with me as if things are all fixed, with no outward sign of any new skills being implemented to avoid inappropriate conversations, and still talking to Sally. I was hoping in some way that Sean and Alan were talking about how Alan could fix things, and I couldn't have been more wrong. The motorcycles now. When we had been visiting his parents, we had a conversation at the dinner table about his late grandfather's motorcycles, in which my husband suggested that Sean could fix them up for free and then return them. This was the first I had heard of any of this. In exchange, it's a fun project for Sean, and the before and after photos would be amazing for his business. He lives out of state, so my husband would not be able to help. If this sounds too good to be true, it's because it was. While talking to a friend about this, she suggested that many things were very much not right here, and that I should go through his phone, see if he's been doing or saying anything else inappropriate, but more importantly, see if I'm being too hard on him, and look through his search history to see if there's any evidence of him looking into how to be honest or stop cheating to save our marriage. Again, divorce was on the table. This was in fact an ultimatum. I know it's icky to make those, but this one is kind of a no-brainer. It was all motorcycles. Motorcycles and memes, and to be fair, there was no evidence of anything inappropriate. The conversations with Sally were suddenly about how great I was, but the motorcycles? That's when I found out that Alan was going to pay for all of the work on them. None of it was free. All of it was going to come out of our expenses to maybe be paid back by whatever family member got them, as none of them were promised to us. One of them was already promised to his dad, all to help Sean. He, very sweet and generous, but we live paycheck to paycheck. 3 kids and a mortgage. In our day-to-day, we cannot afford an expenditure like this. And the worst part, not one Google search, no evidence of asking for advice. When I confronted him about this, Alan said calmly and plainly that he didn't have the emotional energy to look into it. But when I asked about the motorcycles, he lost it. Defensive and shaking and shrugging awkwardly and clowny with angst, and I don't know, and I'm only talking to him about it. I wasn't going to do it without telling you. The parts were in the shopping cart, though. After a month and a half of begging and pleading for him to stop clowning me around and do something to be a better husband, Alan conceded to one meet and greet therapy appointment while trying to invest thousands of dollars, hours of research, and hours more attention into his best friend / former crush while ignoring my messages about anything, even when it was the children. Yikes. So I sat him down, explained he's making no personal effort to change. I don't believe he will, and asked him to stay with his parents for a while because we were done. That was nearly 2 weeks ago. Any advice? And we do have an update, but holy
mackerel.
cow, man.
Holy mackerel.
It's
That was a lot.
of, oh man, this guy just sounds like the absolute worst.
This guy sounds like a teenage boy
Yeah.
that just like
Yeah.
let's just rush this. Like if we'll do this and everything's gonna be fixed. The
Right.
therapy, everything else along the lines. He's like, oh, I'm gonna do it, or I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Like that, it'll fix it. It fixed it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And then that comment way earlier from Sean being like, "Oh, like I can't believe, she expects you to be
To
fixed
change
overnight.
Yeah.
Why is she still mad about this?" It's like, "Okay, well, like no, it's not going to fix overnight because I mean, one, if it doesn't change overnight, then yeah, you're going to believe that it's going to happen again. And two, even if you knew it wasn't going to change overnight and you didn't expect that, you are still fully able and valid in still being upset until it does change."
100%.
Yeah.
OP, especially since you're part of the community, this has been going on for far too long.
Yeah.
That he's ignoring you, and you've asked him nicely, and he's not doing anything. It's the actions speak louder than words kind of thing. Like he says a lot of things,
Exactly.
but you also have called him out as a serial liar.
Right.
Literally, he likes to lie. He's not going to stop lying.
Yeah, like
Um,
how much emotional energy does he need to try to stop cheating on you?
yeah.
Like honestly, like really, what does he need? If he wanted to not cheat on you and he wanted to fix this marriage, then he would have so much emotional space for that. So there is an update. Apparently, when Alan left, he thought that we were still together, that we were going to work through it when he got back. Remember, his old phone had everything still logged in? 4 hours of reaching his parents' house on Sunday, Alan was looking up a woman he used to pay for spicy sleep. Let's call her Shelly. Okay, wow. Big development. Big thing about his character. Half an hour later, he was on the phone with her. Half an hour after that, she was sending cleavage pictures. Monday night is when Alan texted me and told me he thought we were still together after I already saw what he did. Left all our group chats and blocked him on social media, swearing he was confused why I did all of those things. Over the next 5 days, we argued a lot about looking up a woman for spicy sleep while he thought we were still together. The motorcycles, Sean, Sally, everything. All apparently while he was on the phone with Sean. He was sending Sean memes about getting divorced while simultaneously telling me how much he missed me and couldn't sleep or eat. My goodness, this guy is the worst.
This guy is one of those. Wow.
Gosh.
We call him a multitasker.
Yeah.
He's literally talking, sending memes, and then also texting you.
Yeah.
His
All
brain,
his lies.
oh my goodness.
My goodness.
I want to study it because that's crazy.
It's crazy. To be clear, none of what Alan did Sunday was cheating. Even though he thought we were still together, I had left him. My issue is that Alan thought divorce was on the table, still had a chance to fix it, and tried to do what he thought was cheating the second he had the opportunity. Alan is still begging for another chance and time to fix himself. I'm...
No more chances. No more chances.
You've
You've
had 'em.
given him unlimited chances to fix anything or
Yeah.
at least try to.
Right.
And he's done none of that.
Right, because what that means for him, another chance and time to fix himself, is just more time for her staying and him being able to cheat and do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Ugh.
I am fairly certain that I am not the a-hole, but for anyone who has read this far, you're welcome to correct me or scold me for staying so long as you like. And there is a second update.
No,
Yeah,
OP,
definitely not the
you
a-hole.
are not an a-hole.
definitely not the a-hole, but I do really want you to stand up for yourself and just leave this man. I mean, it sounds like she is,
Yes.
but I need this to happen now.
I was gonna say you're kind of being an a-hole to yourself by not
Yeah.
respecting yourself and getting away from him. Letting
Yeah.
him, let him still manipulate you and twist your thoughts and
Right.
make you feel like you're an a-hole when you've done nothing wrong and you just
Yeah.
wanted some respect and some
Exactly.
action from his part to be a better husband.
Exactly. He's not going to change. He's shown you that. We do have a second update, though. My
Into it.
friend suggested this morning that since our finances are still shared, I checked to make sure that the parts were never ordered for the motorcycle. And he swears they weren't, since that may become an issue later. We have two accounts, a joint account I never log into from which my husband pays the mortgage and groceries, and my account from which I pay all of the utilities. We have separate jobs-ish. I'm a small influencer you undoubtedly never heard of, and I don't make much. But between insurance on cars, power, water, sewer, and phone bills, my monthly expenses are roughly the same as his with our delegated who remembers to pay what bills system. He is more ADHD than me, so he only has to remember to pay one bill. I checked the joint account from which our mortgage is paid, and while he was telling the truth, no motorcycle parts were ever purchased. We are broke. Where did the money go?
Where is it, Batman?
Is he not contributing, perhaps?
Where is the money going to? Or rather, who or whom
Yeah.
is it going to?
Oh my goodness. Having just got the tax returns back, I expected to see the finances back on track because we use our tax returns to supplement our income throughout the year. We operate on a deficit of about $500 a month, and the tax returns get us through it. There's almost nothing left of them. The savings and checking account are depleted. I can't find anything nefarious. It's all the usual stuff, but we've apparently been broke like this since before Alan started considering buying all the parts for the motorcycles. Alan never told me that we were struggling financially, and still he was going to use what little that was left to buy all of these parts to help Sean's business. What in the heck is going on? Our divorcing is public knowledge now, and everyone on his side of the family is either saying I'm overreacting about all of this because it was just a chat and that it's not that big of a deal, or they refuse to get involved at all. So now I'm not sure again. Am I the a-hole? Is this absolutely normal? Should I have treated each inappropriate conversation and touching and full-blown cheating as its own separate issue, or recognized it as a pattern of behavior? It's very early now as I type, and I'm frantically canceling subscription services to save money because the bank foreclosing on the house, if we can't pay mortgage before selling it if we need to, would make matters much worse. And there is another update. Oh my goodness.
You're not.
No.
Why do you keep insisting that you're an a-hole?
Yeah.
And don't, like, yes, it's like, that's him cheating. That's him financially cheating.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're all under this umbrella of him just being the worst.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying that the people that are saying that you're overreacting are on his side of the family. So
Or
clearly,
his friends.
Yeah. So here, like, clearly, it's just the family just must think it's okay. And he had to have learned it from somewhere. So no, don't listen to his family. You know that he is doing you wrong.
Or, again, here's the thing. He might be lying to his family.
True. Yeah, that's very true. How are they learning all this information?
Yeah, have you talked to his family about it? Or is he telling his side of it to them? You need to get away from this man because all he does is just poison everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Update number 3. It was Sunday night, and I had gone to bed much earlier than usual. What was meant to be a nap during nap time lasted until 3 a.m. I knew caregiver fatigue was real, but I thought it was more emotional than physical. While I slept, Alan was on the phone with Shelly, the woman he thought he was cheating on me with, because he misunderstood that I was actively leaving him, not just cooling off. Now, we're on the same page, but he was calling and texting her while making dinner for our kids. That's when he texted me, asking if I could watch the children so he could go to her apartment after work on Wednesday. I was livid. I can't control who he sees, but did it have to be her? Since our finances were still tied together, I asked that childcare be handled by his parents. They had never watched the kids alone before, but I gave consent and informed Alan. He then accused me of controlling him, insisting that it had to be me to watch them or else I was manipulating him not to go. I made a friends-only Facebook post. I only have about 200 friends left there, many unfriended over the years because Alan took issue with them. Some were mutuals or his own friends. The replies were what you'd expect. Break out the baseball bat. In my culture, we'd make sure that he couldn't father kids again. None of these were encouraged, and I deleted them as they weren't helpful. Alan's family saw the post, and it wasn't vague enough to keep them guessing. They called Alan's mom, who then called him, and it was decided that Alan shouldn't come home. His mom showed up to collect his clothes and medication, trying to act polite when she saw my parents were present. She downplayed everything, but I already knew the plan. Alan would stay at his parents' house on Wednesday, and I would be left at home with the kids, forced to watch as he did whatever he wanted. And you should be forced to watch and listen to more full episodes of stories just like this one. Just go to iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime. Get on over there.
Only if you want to, but
Only if you
we'll
want
be
to.
really upset at you if you don't.
Exactly.
But
So-
she'll probably force you.
Yeah, I will. You know, I won't speak for everyone, but I'm good for it. But anyway, there is a little bit more to this story. My goodness, this man is crazy.
It just doesn't stop when you think.
Yeah.
Now he's playing the gaslighter card or like the victim card. Sorry, the victim
Right.
card where he's like, no, you're controlling me. You're too manipulative. You're this.
Yeah.
It just, where's the respect in this relationship? I've seen him do nothing positive for you throughout this entire story.
Right.
OP. What has he done for you? What has he done to respect you? Like, yes,
Yeah.
he's the father of your kids, but it seems like you guys, all you do is just like, it's something new. Like you said, something every 3 months is just, it's not fair.
Yeah, I know. Like, it kind of sounds that like she is ready to leave him.
Yeah.
But it just sucks that it just doesn't stop because now they have to co-parent and he's not wanting to co-parent. He's like making these excuses and stuff. And so it's just so frustrating that she still has to deal with this even if they do divorce.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough process. It's going to be a long process, and it's going to be a bumpy one.
Yeah. For sure.
But it's better than, time and time again being let down, being manipulated, being just emotionally wiped out, dealing with him and trying to focus on him when you could just be focusing on yourself and on your kids.
Yeah, man. Oh my goodness. So there's a little bit more to the story. I told his mom directly that she was enabling his cruelty. She claimed that Alan had no intention of seeing Shelley despite the constant calls and texts, and that I had no right to be upset since I was the one who dumped him. Sure. I explained again about the cheating and lying, but she insisted that he never cheated because he said so. That's when I lost it. I had sent them screenshots and screen recordings. They then admitted that they had never read them, choosing instead to forward everything to Alan's brother, who would summarize it vaguely enough to keep it from upsetting them. I thanked them for prioritizing me as their daughter-in-law, and I invited them to leave. I stayed mostly off social media, and I played with the children. Nap time rolled around, and I had finished cleaning up from the day, began starting on dinner as they lay down for their evening nap, when I received a notification. Alan had turned off location sharing. So I did as you would expect. I immediately removed him from the family on iPhone and Google, and partner sharing on Google Photos. And the last thing uploaded to his Google Photos, wouldn't you know it, was those motorcycles. We do not yet have a separation agreement set up. He left and texted me only once to inform me that they arrived safely. I have a strong suspicion that he's terrified about what I'm up to as I'm home alone, and just as free as he is during the week. All I will tell you in case he comes across this is that I am enjoying myself. But it's very nice for that bar to slowly be sinking to the ground level and to start enjoying myself in ways that I wasn't allowed to previously. And that is the end of that story.
At least it seems like OP understands like things are getting better when he's not in the picture. When he's off and about, you're like, oh, I get time to myself and I feel a little bit more free.
Yeah.
That's what you should feel the entire time, or at least supported by your partner.
Right. And hopefully she's learning this for next time. Hopefully.
100%. I know you're part of our community, OP. We're here to support you and help you and give you advice. The advice is right now, you don't need him in your life.
Yeah.
You do not need him in your life. One, close that account, that joint account. Seems like you're already doing some of that, like with social stuff. Good. Keep pushing him away.
Yeah.
My girlfriend wanted to break up with me because I can do the splits.
That's a super cool thing, though.
Seems like a plus. I've male 25 been with my girlfriend, female 24, for the past 4 years, and we're currently engaged. Planning our wedding for hopefully early next year, since we figured most of 2021 would be used to really get past the latter stages of the pandemic. We rarely ever fight, but she insists I broke her trust over what happened a few days ago.
What?
By the way, this comes from Deleted, and you can submit your own stories on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Angie.
And I'm Riley.
And OP says, my girlfriend works full-time as a receptionist, but also does yoga very seriously on the side. She has a separate Instagram account just for yoga and teaches a few clients at a gym as well. I used to do gymnastics growing up before switching to aerial circus at a nearby studio for a few years. Sick. Aerial is very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly focusing on aerial straps in my early high school years before stopping due to repeated injuries. I still try to keep some of the conditioning I learned and apply it when I'm training at the gym today. But my problem started when she asked me to help her film something. She has a YouTube channel that she's constantly trying to grow, and she asked me to help with a splits tutorial where she would do advanced versions of stretches while I did more basic versions for inflexible people. When she had me try a few of the stretches she had in mind, she was surprised with how easy some of them were for me. When she sarcastically asked me if I could do the splits, I showed her that I could. And for some reason, she got really offended. I wasn't showing off or anything, I just did the poses she asked. I helped her with other videos before, but when she asked how I learned it, I told her about gymnastics and aerial straps before high school, and how I tried to keep some conditioning exercises a part of my gym routine. Okay, right. He's not doing the aerial currently. He's doing the conditioning for aerial. But still, I mean, like, it never came up.
Also, like, why would that be a problem?
She got offended that I never told her about it. But I did tell her about it years ago. She just didn't seem to remember, and that's fine. I don't think it's that important. I told her the last time I did aerial straps or gymnastics was like 9th grade, maybe 10th. But she spun it into, what else are you hiding? and called me a liar. Asked why don't I make an Instagram just like her and stuff like that. I honestly didn't know why she was getting so worked up. Also, how did it never come up? How did she never notice he was flexible?
Like in other situations?
How did it never come up?
Good question.
I told her I was sorry despite not thinking I had anything to be sorry for, but her mood was ruined and she gave up on the video idea, saying she changed her mind and acting distant for the rest of the day. When I got home and tried to text her again that I was sorry, she didn't respond. She hasn't responded to anything I've texted her for 4 straight days, and when we almost always talk. Then finally, about a week later, she told me she wanted to take a break from our relationship and a bunch of other things about how she couldn't trust me. What is going on?
They were about to get married, guys.
What?
Dude, they were engaged.
They were literally about to get married.
Engaged to be wed, and she's taking a break because she didn't know he could do the splits?
Yeah, like he just, put in split mode. And
Specifically, she didn't remember. She forgot that he told her.
I will say, if Angie and I were engaged and we were playing basketball and she just dunked on me, I might need to take a break and just figure out what my life has been.
But then if Angie told you, hey, yeah, you remember I played basketball for years, then you'd like, I told you that. That's on you.
With their experience that she has right now, I'd still probably be like, I need to rethink everything.
Well, sure. But then it would realistically be a thing where it's like, oh, I just wanted to surprise you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's
But how did
so
you dunk?
stupid.
Why can I not dunk and you can't?
Now you feel
now
inferior.
Now we have
that's
to
what
remove the problem. Yeah, exactly.
The monster.
Exactly.
While I think she's overreacting, I couldn't bring myself to say that and told her I'd respect her request and that I was sorry for offending her again. But it's almost been 3 weeks. Don't marry this woman. And she hasn't contacted me. One of her mutual friends contacted me and said she's been talking crap about me to some other girls. When I decided to open up and tell him how I thought she was being ridiculous, he said she cares way too much about her Instagram and called her arrogant. I'm kind of upset at myself for not telling her how ridiculous she was sounding and just sucking up, but I'm getting worried. We still have engagement plans, but I'm also reconsidering how easily she gets offended over something as small as this. Before I break her no contact and try calling her back, I've really been thinking about this and just need to hear some other opinions. I also want to ask how I should reach out after her request for space to see where we stand with the engagement and our future in general, or if I should even reach out at all or just wait for her. There is an update.
I would wait for her to hit you up, and then if it's been 2 weeks, you might have to break the ice.
I disagree. Honestly, I feel like you're about to marry this woman. I'd be like, hey, we need to talk or we're not getting married. Honestly, I probably wouldn't marry her anyway, but
honestly,
say that.
Yeah,
I
feel like
this is ridiculous.
Totally.
You're not ready for an adult relationship if you're going to ghost me for 3 weeks.
Yeah, because then also, what kind of environment does that set for the marriage? Of if I say something that I didn't tell you before, you're going to be mad at me and give me the silent treatment?
Yeah, if you find out I have a cousin in, I don't know, Canada, are you going to leave me?
Then it's like, you met my cousin. That's what it's going to be like.
Yeah,
it's like,
you met my cousin.
You met I didn't remember that. What do you mean you didn't know? That's not my, you know what I mean?
We sent them a baby shower gift.
That's a terrible environment to be on. You're just going to be so anxious and walking on eggshells all the time.
Yeah, but there's an update. It's been about a week, and she's kind of made the decision to break up on her own, actually. She went through and made her splits video on her own, and she actually threw a joke in there about how girls watching should ask their boyfriend if they can do the splits, too, and are shy about their talent. Honestly, I found it kind of funny at this point just to see how petty she was over this. Some of the girls in my friend group who took my side said that my fiance doesn't seem to understand what yoga means, and they happen to do yoga as well. They said she's stupid because she's certified and doesn't understand that yoga isn't a competition, but rather a personal journey. She seems to care more about showing off impressive poses on Instagram than actually promoting what yoga is about. And now she's basically body shaming me, and that's the opposite of what yoga stands for in their opinion. They also had an issue with the joke she made during the video, specifically with how she told the girls watching to ask their boyfriends if they could do the splits to see if they were hiding it from her. They said that came off as wrong, somewhat sexist, and immature. They also showed me some of the text she sent them, stuff about how I'm hiding things from her and why was there a need to hide something as simple as that regarding my gymnastics background. It's so shocking that she's upset because she forgot about something.
Literally. Even if you didn't know about it, it's don't you want to be surprised by your partner? If they're 23 and she already thinks that she wants to know everything about her partner, You are setting yourself up for a boring life, dude.
Yeah.
Boring
I find
life.
new things about people all the time.
And it's great. That's what you want.
Anyway, personally, I think it's really dumb. Like, this is high school behavior, and maybe not even that, because when I was in high school, some people were petty, but this is just a lot. When I texted her about the wedding and asked her where we stand, I think it's pretty clear. She didn't respond. When I texted her again another day, she didn't respond again. When I tried calling her twice on the same days, she didn't respond either. I'm trying with the help of my parents to cancel the wedding on our side, but she and her parents are not responding. And with the payments they have down, we're nervous about getting looped into something they could hold against us. At this point, I could care less about the ring. I asked my dad if we should go over, but he said it was a bad idea given their behavior. We've talked to the planner, who's had little communication with her family too, and that's pretty much where we are. I called her a few times, and my parents called her parents, but they aren't responding. I want to ask how to get out of the wedding the most safe way possible with no strings they could hold on us, or if it's possible to cancel it without having to see any of them again. My dad is also inquiring how to do this on his own, but I want to ask here too. I could care less about the ring at this point. I also want to say thanks for all the advice. And there is an update 4 years later.
What? I thought that was going to be
Ooh-wee.
it.
No. 4-year update.
Dude,
What do you think? What do you think?
he's the split master, and he's just out there splitting and twerking, and he is now a successful.
Wait, splitting and
inter-
twerking.
Yeah, he's
splitting
splitting and twerking it.
Oh, I
Alright.
thought you said working.
Yeah, he's working it too. Yeah, and that's what he's doing on Instagram
Wow.
now.
Yeah, I don't even know what could happen. I have no like.
I think that OP has gone back to Ariel,
Okay, word.
and he's super famous
Yeah, I
for
like it.
Ariel,
Cool.
and he has a really popular Instagram.
Yeah. She then like, oh, we should collab, or
Yeah.
he starts teaching classes.
No,
and
but
she
she
shows
forgets who he is.
Up.
Because he uses a pseudonym,
Ah.
and he like hides his face
Uh-huh.
because he doesn't want the fame.
Yeah.
Update 2. 4 years later, you would not believe how many people messaged me in the aftermath of my last post. I put them off for a long time because of everything going on, but hindsight is crazy, especially in this situation. Looking back, I realized I had nothing to apologize for. Yeah, I'm disgusted that I did. I was so desperate to try and work things out that I completely lost myself in the process. I was afraid of becoming single and had these doubts pop up about never finding a forever someone. So much that I ignored red flags in other areas of our relationship that aren't worth airing. I think I've since learned that to never be so desperate that you sell your soul for someone. The reason I'm updating is because of something one of her ex-girlfriends recently told me that surprised me. One of her ex-girlfriends, who said she was wrong about yoga and no longer talks to her, told me that my ex has a new series on her yoga Instagram YouTube where she tries something new every video. Like, Yogi tries indoor skydiving. She tried aerial arts in one of the videos. It was a vlog where she sat in her home and talked about her experience trying Lyra, also known as aerial hoop. She would cut to clips of a sequence she learned in class and likely record it at the end. Many aerial studios allow students to record the sequence they learned during the last 5 minutes to remember it or post. Some of her sequences were assisted by an instructor. At my aerial studio, students are allowed to record at the end too, which I still do. While she didn't bring me up specifically, she said she wanted to try aerial straps, the apparatus I told her I trained, but that there was a prerequisite of aerial silks required by the studio. I can attest to certain apparatuses having prerequisites, and in all honesty, her vlog was pretty good.
Ooh.
Her ex-friend sent me a YouTube link because I blocked her on my socials, and she said she might try more classes because she had fun, that she brings positive energy instead of the jealousy and insecurity she displayed with me. If our interaction leads to her finding community, perhaps that will be a silver lining from our time together. Many people in aerial and circus come from a gymnastics or dance background, so the added body awareness and flexibility from yoga would help if she were interested. By the way, I'm interested in you guys listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There's a little bit left, but why did you tell us that?
I mean, it is kind of funny.
That was
She
really
broke up with
disappointing.
them, and then in a roundabout way, started doing whatever he got into, which is kind of funny.
I thought there was going to be something petty, and I'm annoyed.
There's still a little
I
bit
feel
left.
pouty.
I'm pouty. I'm angry.
I'm very pouty about this. I thought, okay, cool. She's gonna get hurt. Don't wish that on anyone. But
Then why'd
I
you
was
think
thinking,
it?
I was just
Why'd
thinking,
you think
oh,
it?
maybe that's why it's brought up right now. Because that's
Yeah,
what's
like,
gonna
why
happen.
would the ex-friend send that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If I had a friend who texted me 4 years from now,
Mm.
a video of my ex, I don't know, like playing piano,
Yeah.
I'd be like, why did you
I'd be like,
send that
all
to
right,
me?
cool. Like,
What am I supposed to say? As for me, I haven't found a soulmate yet, lol. I dated someone briefly some years after her, but we didn't hit it off. That's life though, and I'm trying not to worry about never getting married because that's why I stayed with her for so long. Hopefully she's changed for the better after all these years, but I'm trying to focus my energy on work and continuing Ariel. I've committed more time to performing since we broke up, and I'm grateful for the Ariel community I have. I'm still in the same studio where I was when we were dating, and many in my studio agreed that she was being insecure back then, to say the least. So while her video was nice, I sincerely hope she's changed for the better because it only takes one insecure person to make an uplifting place feel toxic to others, and I can relate to feeling too depressed to practice in the immediate aftermath of our breakup. My husband wanted to divorce me because I got a tattoo.
Go get another one.
I, 50 female, got my first and only tattoo a week and a half ago. And my husband, 50 male, is furious. He says if I don't get it removed immediately, he is done with me. By the way, this comes from Wacky Camp, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. Some background. We've been together for 27 years, married for 24, and have 2 children in their 20s. My mother passed away 3 years ago in the home we shared with my parents. We bought the house together, half and half, so that I could take care of them, but the house is in my name, which is relevant later. A few years before my mother passed away, she was hospitalized with brain surgery. I basically lived at the hospital with her during that time, witnessing more suffering than I can describe. During that time, I was pretty much on my own. I was my mom's advocate in the hospital, the one who explained everything to the rest of the family, and a conduit and translator to my mom's family abroad. And I was still doing my work from the window seat of my mom's room. My husband did not visit me there, not to bring me food or company or comfort. When I was finally home and could release the grief and horror I'd been feeling all that time, my husband was shocked and actually cried with me. He said he never wanted to hear cries like those from me again. I let him know later on how much I had wanted his support during that time and how I felt pretty abandoned. He said he would do better. 2 years later, my dad was the one undergoing a brutal surgery at 84 with physical and mental complications afterwards, and it was the same story. I was again on my own. When my mother did pass away the following year, my husband cried with me and volunteered to call the funeral home for me. But 2 days later, when I said I was sad, he asked why.
Huh? Why are you sad about that?
Let's take a wild guess. Let's take a wild guess why OP could be sad.
You got this one, buddy.
Confused, I reminded him my mom had just passed. He said, but it wasn't your fault. I honestly still don't know what that had to do with anything. Since that time, he seems to think I'm not still affected by the loss of my mother, largely because I just carry on and don't give in to the grief I'm carrying, according to him, like a human is supposed to do. So back to the present, I've been talking for a couple of years about getting a tattoo of my mom's writing from a letter she wrote me when I was a teenager. It's a few loving words in her language, and I loved the idea of having those engraved on me like a sort of talisman. In the last few years, my daughter and I had also talked about getting matching tattoos with each other, but I had delayed. My daughter actually has a tattoo of part of my mom's message to me. My husband has heard us talk about these things. I guess he thought I wouldn't follow through. When I made the appointment, he said, no, not to do it. He said in what sounded like a joking tone to me, that's my skin. No, it's not. No, it's my skin. It's on my body. It's my skin. You're not taking it. That sounds like something a serial unaliver would say.
Second thing that sounds like one would say. The first one being, well, you didn't do it. Why do you feel bad that she's passed?
So true. But he followed up saying that tattoos are gross. This was a surprise since his sisters, his daughter, and his son all have several, and he's talked about getting them in the past. Hypocrite. He just wants to control you.
He's talked about having them before, too.
Pretty insane. I didn't really take it seriously. The day before my appointment, he told me to cancel it. I explained that this meant a lot to me since it was the anniversary of her passing, and I was missing her. The morning of, he had tears in his eyes and said, "This is gonna mess me up. I don't like tattoos." But then he went on to say that my mom didn't really deserve to be honored this way and made a couple of unkind comments about her. So I'll admit, I basically stopped listening. So I had it done. And I think it's beautiful. In what I hoped would be a compromise, I didn't put it where I'd originally planned. I put it on my upper inside arm where it would be more discreet. Looking at her words reminds me that someone did love me totally unconditionally, and it helps when I'm missing her or feeling down like I have been this week. Because my husband quit talking to me or anyone else in the house. Wow, 27 years of marriage.
Over a tribute tattoo.
Yeah. He locks himself in his room all day and night. We sleep separately because of snoring. Moved his things to another bathroom and his clothes to that closet instead of our shared closet. He emerges only to go to work or to make his own food after we've all gone to bed. Right before his voluntary solitary confinement, he told me we were done, that he could never be attracted to me again. What a, like, you're insane. You're crazy. She's got some words on the inside of her arm, and you can't be attracted to her again?
And all your kids have them, and you debated getting one.
You literally have never loved her if that's the case. And that he would move out if I gave him half the value of the house. Only half the value is ours, since the other half is really my dad's. So basically, he wants to take my half of our half. I know he says it to be mean, and it works, and I'm not proud of some of the things I said to him in response. So I've been miserable this whole time, and what was a special thing for me and my mom has been overshadowed by this. Further, our wedding anniversary passed without acknowledgement, of course. Tonight, he emerged to tell me I didn't need to cry. There's nothing to cry about. That all I have to do is to get it removed immediately. I know what we can remove immediately. You, dude. You suck.
I like genuinely have no words for this. This guy is insane.
27 years of marriage.
And
down
like,
the drain.
they talked about this for a while leading up. His
Wow.
daughter was going to get matching ones with the wife. He never once expressed his views. Even if he did, they're not valid. It's her opinion. Like, it's
And
her
her body.
choice to get that.
Yeah.
Saying it's my skin is wild.
Insane. One, I can't do that while it's healing. And two, seriously, I have to burn it off with a laser to save my marriage. Once again, I've been told I'll never be attracted to him with it, that he's the one who had to look at it, that he hates tattoos on women. Again, this is a new development, and I'm basically awful because he begged me not to do it. But I begged him for years to stop drinking because it was hurting our family, and stop some other things, and those were apparently not important, and it's not the same. According to him, a tattoo on my inner arm is not what he married. And I knew he was a heavy drinker from the start. I didn't. It took me years to understand that. I think we need to divorce pretty imminently, because it seems like you also have obviously other problems in your marriage already.
Yeah, some of that sounds like it could be heavy.
I told him even if I wanted to take it off, it would be a long time before I could, since it hasn't even healed yet. And he noted I'd be unattractive to him the whole time. I suggested seeing how he feels over time while it's healing, and suggested he schedule us for counseling. We do actually need this. He made it clear he will never change his mind, and that the odds are he's not going to make an effort to make us a counseling appointment. I guess I feel I was really his person, someone he loved for real. He wouldn't be ready to throw me away over a small, simple tattoo. And he'd try to understand my feelings. He insists he has loved me deeply, and that I'm the one drawing the line in the sand and throwing him away. He said he'd posted this on Reddit. Everyone thought I was awful. Then laughed a little and said, "No, you didn't post." I said, "Okay, let's post it." He thinks I'd represented all wrong to make myself look good, but I don't think I have. At least here I could spell out my feelings and not have them dismissed. Am I really the bad partner here? I am interested because obviously this is biased because you wrote it, and it's biased towards, your own opinion. So if he knows about this, I'm interested. I want to he should post his side of the story if he thinks that people would take his side.
Yeah, I want to know what he could possibly have to say that he thinks that people will be like, "Oh my God, yeah, he was totally right."
He's like, you guys don't understand. You don't understand. I don't want her to have a tattoo because I think she'll look ugly.
Yeah, that wouldn't help your point, dude.
Comments. Wow, you buried the lead here. Your husband offered you basically zero support during your mom's illness and passing, and your dad's surgery, and then didn't understand why you were grieving for a normal length of time. What the F? The only thing surprising about such a self-centered loser wanting to divorce you over a tattoo is that you didn't beat him to the... Please find some self-respect and divorce him for giving you such a stupid ultimatum, and for all the other ways he hasn't been there for you. You deserve so much better than to be basically alone and unsupported by the man who's supposed to be there for you for better or for worse. And a reply says, agreed. And this type of loser man that doesn't really want a divorce, he wants to stay and be mean and harmful to her, and he manipulates her with these empty threats. He thinks she'll never grow a spine and leave. I bet he's overweight and a gross too, being that he's a long-time heavy drinker. And I bet she's way better looking than him since she isn't. He probably hasn't aged well and hates himself. Comment 2 says, girl, I didn't even get to the tattoo part because I was hung up on why you didn't dump him when he utterly abandoned you in your darkest times. He is no loss. And that's the end of that story.
Oh my God, that's it?
Dang, man. Wow. Yeah, divorce him, girl. Divorce him.
Get out of there.
Like, as soon as possible, because he doesn't support you. He's being controlling. And those are huge red flags and definitely going to get worse. And it seems like that has been a problem for a long time.
Divorce him, and the day that it's signed, get a tattoo to commemorate it.
Get another tattoo. My wife used me for a green card and left me for another man.
That's a red flag.
Let's start at the beginning, around 2007. We were both attending the same university in the US. She was an international student from Thailand, and I was an American. I was the shy but smart guy from class that she knew, and she was the cute international student. We were in a few classes over the years, but in the months before I graduated and moved to a different state, we started talking more. We had a few in-person lunch dates before I left. By the way, this comes from Dazzling Patience 5088. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Riley.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. After I moved, we continued to talk. She was set to graduate 1 year behind me. I flew back for her graduation, and then a few weeks later, she had a crisis. We decided it was best if I came to pick her up. So I drove a few states over. What was the crisis? Loaded most of her belongings into my vehicle, and she moved into my place just like that. We lived in a shared house near downtown Minneapolis with around 7 other people in their early 20s, which made it easy for her to integrate into the new city. She made friends from Thailand, attending the University of MN. We were very into each other at this time, having spicy sleep multiple times a day and always wanting to be around each other. I worked full-time and sometimes traveled for work. When I went somewhere interesting, I'd usually stay over the weekend and she would fly out to join me. We genuinely had a good time and I fell in love with her. She also said she loved me and I believed her. Gosh dang it. Late 2008, her student visa was going to expire soon. Either she had to go back home or we had to do something. We decided to get married at the local courthouse and then apply for a K-1 fiancé visa. We continued living in the same house for another year until I changed jobs and we moved to a different state. Around this time, we announced to our family and friends that we were getting married and started all the arrangements. I flew to Thailand to meet her parents and family. They were a middle-class family and her father owned an insurance agency. In 2009, we had 2 separate wedding ceremonies, one in the US and one in Thailand. It was a traditional Thai wedding with all the intricacies, which was very fun to be involved in. After a year of what felt like non-stop wedding planning, we finally settled down in our new home. During this time, we adopted a couple of cats that we treated like children. The issue of children for ourselves came up sometimes, but she was on birth control and we didn't have plans for any time soon. We were just enjoying our newly married lives. I continued my job that involved some travel, and while she was still looking for work, she would sometimes join me on my work trips. Fast forward to around 2010 or 2011, my now wife found a good full-time job in a downtown office with about a 30-minute commute each way. This was before Zoom calls, so we mostly saw each other briefly in the mornings and evenings. One day, she told me that some of her friends from work were planning a weekend float trip, kind of a camping trip by the lake at a state park around 4 hours away. She wanted to go by herself as it was just supposed to be her coworkers. I said, that sounded fun. Have a good time. I trusted her 100% at this time. Shortly after the float trip, I noticed that she started protecting her phone more, something she never used to do. It was always with her when before she would leave it around and have to find it later, sometimes asking me to call it for her. I started getting more suspicious when she mentioned a new friend at work. I could hardly ever reach her during work hours. She wouldn't answer her phone and was very slow to return calls and texts. She'd arrive home later, and I'd have to call her office number to see if she was still at her desk after 6 p.m. When she first started this job, I would sometimes drive up to meet her for lunch, but our lunches together seemed to stop after the float trip. what happened on the
What
float
happened
trip.
on that river?
On the weekend, she started spending most of the time outside the house, saying she was hanging out with friends from work. We started arguing more as I asked her more questions about who this guy was. When I found her phone screen with many text messages from an LJ. Her phone was locked, but I could still see the name. She was getting texts all the time from this person. Eventually, she started spending the whole weekend away from Friday night until Sunday night. At this point, I did something questionable. We had a shared laptop, and I restored her iPhone backup onto my phone one weekend while she was away. I read her text messages and found conversations with LJ. They were cheating, but it wasn't clear if they were having spicy sleep. I was devastated, but knew that if I confronted her while she was outside, she would just stay away and not come home. When confronted, she's like that. She'll scream and shout, deny, and blame me instead. I waited until she returned home and then showed her some of the photos and videos that I found on her phone. One video was of her kissing LJ on the cheek while they were driving to the float trip.
Brother, we're not even in the river yet. You're
The-
kissing people on cheeks.
Yeah, this is in the car that I helped her buy. He was driving our car. At this point, I loved her, but I was absolutely devastated. Until the float trip, I thought I had a happy marriage. We seemed to love each other. We had good, spicy sleep life. We did things together on the weekends before she started hanging around her friends from work. My heart was broken. Confronted with the evidence in front of her eyes, I told her that I was prepared to divorce if she didn't quit the job where she worked with LJ and agree to stay away from him. She agreed to quit her job and did so the next week. I still loved her, or thought I did, so I decided to give her a second chance. This happened around 2 years after we had been married. She had her permanent resident green card by this time. Fast forward a couple of years, and I received a job offer in California. She now had a job that could easily transfer, and she'd be able to work from home after moving with me. Things were going great for us. We flew out to California a couple of times to apartment shop and decided on a place. I was set to start my new job soon, so I'd move first and then she joined me. It took her around 3 months to finally move, apparently because she was working on getting approval from her company to relocate. I tried to put all that past infidelity with LJ out of my mind, because he was now over 1,600 miles away. I assumed the problem was solved. One weekend we were shopping for bicycles, thinking it would be a fun thing to do as a couple in a new
Never.
city.
Never. That's always.
Never.
You know how many stories I've read
That
where a
ended-
couple goes bicycle shopping and it all goes downhill.
and it all goes downhill. She left her phone in my car unlocked. I looked at it and saw she had messages from LJ again. My heart stopped. I waited until she got back into the car, told her what I just saw, and said, I thought we were going to start fresh after we moved to California. I don't recall what she said to answer me, but the ride home was in silence. It really ruined what was an otherwise pleasant afternoon together. The next few years were rough. She continued to take her birth control pills. I asked her about it one day, why she was still taking them if we never had spicy sleep. She said she needed to take them to help her skin, that's not unreasonable. People do that.
It's not unreasonable, but in the
Is that what
context
she's
of
doing
this
here?
story, yeah, do I buy that?
She said she needed to take them to help her skin. I was pretty sure that she was cheating, but I had started drinking more to help tune it all out.
No.
That became another source of arguments, my drinking. The drinking became a problem, and sometimes I was drinking 12 or more beers in a day. Ugh. Most days I got into the routine of drinking in the evening while she would be upstairs doing her thing if she was home. Not a healthy combination for a marriage. Fast forward to 2017. I had left one of her metal bowls from Thailand outside for the neighborhood dogs to drink from since it was a hot day. When she came home and saw her special bowl outside, we had a blow-up argument about it. In her anger, she ended up throwing the bowl at me.
Dude, leave.
Dude. I mean,
Good. He called 911.
yeah, I called 911 and the police came out. Good. She didn't get arrested as I told them not to, but they had her leave and she stayed in a hotel for the night. During the night, she withdrew $35,000 from our joint savings account that was supposed to be used for a down payment on a home. Naturally, I demanded that she return the money, but she refused. I started talking to a divorce lawyer, but for some reason decided against filing right then. I couldn't do anything about it, really, except stew. Unfortunately, I started to resent her, but I don't really want to go through a divorce yet. I didn't really feel ready to go through all that hassle and expense. I thought maybe a nice vacation to Hawaii would help us get our marriage back into the groove. This man, we booked a vacation and she helped plan it, but it was a struggle. On the vacation, there was a lot of arguing. We had spicy sleep a few times, which was nice to know that we could still do it. But it was awkward. She just laid there. It's not enjoyable for me if I see my partner's clearly not into it. So it was a turnoff. Shortly after we returned home from vacation in November 2018, I stopped drinking for good. The new sober clarity finally laid bare what I had been trying to avoid by drinking. My wife was having an affair and wasn't going to end it. I wasn't sure at that point if she was physically cheating, as I had no hard evidence, but I still have strong suspicions. I couldn't take it anymore. There was a total lack of trust. I filed for divorce. She immediately hired an attorney and asked for temporary spousal support and got awarded it. Because we were married more than 10 years and California considers our marriage long-term, I was potentially on the hook for permanent alimony. She wouldn't agree to anything at first, so I had to fight hard in court because I did not want to be paying her permanent alimony. My attorney eventually got her to agree to 3 years of spousal support, a 5-figure amount at signing the settlement, and then half of my 401k. She paid me nothing, but I got my freedom back. I shouldn't, but recently I Googled her name and found she and LJ are listed as living at the same address. All that time she told me that he was nothing, just a friend. If you read down this far, thank you. And I'd be curious to know what you think about my sad divorce story.
I wish you the best.
I wish you the
It's gonna suck.
best.
It's gonna take some time to heal from this.
Oh yeah.
But like, I feel like you're gonna, and you'll be better off for it.
You're absolutely going to be better off for it.
Stop taking tropical vacations
Stop.
with a woman who doesn't love or appreciate you, which it is
Yeah.
clear wasn't the case. Go take that trip by yourself.
That's
like,
just
get in
general
touch with
advice.
yourself. Have
Yeah.
some fun.
Go to Fiji. My husband asked to be poly, so I'm divorcing him. Well, that's up to you guys. I, 26 female, and my husband, 27 male, have been married for just over a year and together for 4. We spent a long time before getting married talking about what we wanted out of being married, so I thought we were on the same page about all the important things. I do love him very much. He's sweet, helpful, and generally my dream partner. Until last week. By the way, this comes from FarSafety9543, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, out of the blue, he sat down one night and said he wanted to talk about something. I thought it was just something minor he was frustrated about, or a bad day at work or something. Instead, he talked about how he found out that his best guy friend and his wife are polyamorous. He and his friend have been talking about it more, and he thinks he might like to try it and wondered what I thought. I felt instantly sick to my stomach. We've always had great spicy sleep life, and he's never given me any reason to think he was interested in anyone else. I told him that I'm not interested in being in a polyamorous relationship. I want to be monogamous with him for the rest of my life. If I had stopped there, I don't think it would have gotten so bad. But then he asked if I would read about it and then decide. I said no. I already know how I feel about it. He asked if I would at least think about it, and for some reason that just did something to me. Like instant revulsion, kind of upset. I got up and told him that I was too upset to keep talking and that I needed some space, so I would sleep in the guest room that night and we could talk later. Ever since that night, I had the biggest ick anytime I saw him. He kept trying to backtrack, but I know he meant what he said about wanting to be polyamorous. It's not so much that he brought it up, it's the 2 other asks after I already said I would never be comfortable with it. It's like that didn't matter to him. He thought he could convince me, and it makes me feel awful. What else is he going to pressure me about if I say no? And if he already wants to sleep with someone else, how can I ever trust him not to do it behind my back? I'm still sleeping in the guest room, and I'm thinking of just asking for a divorce now, when it would be simpler to divide everything up and go our separate ways instead of waiting until years down the line when I get my heart broken. He could go do whatever he wants, and I could find someone who just wants a good, solid, monogamous relationship with me. The idea is unaliving me, but I feel like it's gonna hurt no matter what I do. While I do still love him, I don't think I can ever unhear or unsee my husband asking me for an open relationship, and the idea of him touching me makes me feel ill. He's upset and frustrated that I'm punishing him for asking a question, but I honestly don't know what he expected to happen. There is a part of me that thinks maybe divorcing him is being overdramatic, but also the ick is so strong that I don't have much hope of getting back to where we were. Am I the a-hole? And there is an edit and an update, but what do you think?
Think you're the a-hole?
No.
It's not like he just asked, like, hey,
Can we think about this? No, he
Yeah.
said, can we think about this? And you said no. And he said, can we think about this though? And you said
Can-
no. And he
right.
said, but can you think about this?
yeah.
And you said, I hate you now.
Right, because this also isn't like, hey, like, let's start a business. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
this
not
is,
like,
hey, can I cheat on you?
yeah, right, exactly. Because it's like some people, just are polyamorous and some people aren't.
Yeah.
That's really all
Yeah.
it is. It's not a punishment for not being polyamorous.
Like if he wants to go find someone who wants a polyamorous relationship, for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah,
But you don't want that. So if he does it, it is cheating
yeah, this
because
isn't
you don't want that.
exactly. It's not a punishment. He's just trying to play the victim.
Yeah. Edit. Gosh, this is a lot of replies. I'm reading through them as best I can. I'm going to take the advice to get an STI test, and my gyno is going to work me in today for that. I don't think he would physically cheat, but better safe than sorry. I do think there is probably someone he's interested in, probably. Possibly his friend's wife, or maybe even his friend. He's never expressed being bi, but that doesn't mean he isn't. I don't know them very well, so I can't speculate on their role in all of this. I'm going to be charitable and assume that there are no machinations from their end, and he just picked this up from his friend and ran with it. I want to be clear that I'm not ignoring him. We can talk about whatever else is going on, but I'm not ready to continue this conversation with him, and he knows that. I want to be calm for that, and his behavior is not really conducive to a sense of calm right now. Every time he brings it up, it makes me a little more disgusted with him, but he seems intent on digging the hole instead of letting things settle. That and not taking the first no for an answer is a bigger issue than the poly ask for me. I think I'm going to meet with a lawyer just to go over options. At this point, I don't have a lot of faith in counseling changing how I feel about him now, but I would be willing to try a few sessions to say we gave it a shot. I'll throw that out there tonight and see what he says. Edit 2. He doesn't think counseling is necessary. He just wants to go back to the way things were before bringing it up. I've told him that's not an option. You can't unbreak a bone, it has to heal instead. I asked him if he had someone in mind, and he said no, but he's not a very good liar, and I don't really believe him. He says it was just an idea, and there's no one, and nothing has happened. But he also doesn't want to show me the messages between him and his friend, so I can understand the content of the conversation they had. I will respect his choice, but it's enough to convince me that there is something he's hiding, even if it's not an affair in progress, and that's a problem. I've got an appointment with a lawyer in a few days. I'm going to wait until after that to make a decision, and I'm going to take a short trip alone to see my grandparents this weekend to get some fresh air and perspective. I'll try to update next week after all the test results come back, and I've had a chance to look at all the facts with a professional. Thank you for your kind support and advice. And there are some comments and an update, folks.
I think he's silly.
I think he's very silly. I'm sorry. He's like, I just want to go back to the way we were before. I don't want to go counseling.
Yeah.
It's like you're the one who kept pushing.
Right.
You could have gone back when your wife said no, and you could have been like, okay, she said no.
Yeah.
Yes, that's that.
Yeah, like I wonder if he's feeling like embarrassed or something because of or with like how he's wanting to go back or something, but it's like, okay, well, like this is obviously something you want to try. Again, it's not like it's you wanted to take a different route to the function, like it's
This is like life-changing for your relationship.
yeah, this is something like about you, yeah, and that will affect your relationship. So if you just drop it and ignore it, it's not going to disappear. It's still going to
No.
be under there, and
You still want to do it.
yeah,
And if you want to do it and your wife does not want to do it, then
right.
is this a deal breaker?
Right, and the
know?
counseling can probably help him too, like
Yeah.
really understand these feelings.
Why he's asking for this.
So,
Comment 1. Had some sympathy for you until you said you're going to meet with an attorney behind his back. That's quite the dang leap. Sounds like you just want a way out at this point. Just leave. OP says, my dad is a lawyer, and he likes to say that anyone who tells you not to get legal advice when you're vulnerable is part of the reason the relevant laws were written to start with. So don't trust them. They just don't like it when the prospective victim comes properly informed and prepared. If he was talking to a lawyer right now, I absolutely wouldn't blame him. If he gets mad about it, that's another mark in the get out column. Part of seeking legal advice in this situation is also finding a way to allow him a graceful exit. If that's what happens, because his family are mostly religious conservatives and it would be a rough road for him if they found out why the divorce was happening. So if I decide to go, I want to be able to suggest a plan that protects him as well as me. I have no interest in raking him over the coals publicly. Comment 2. This will upset someone, but a man who will share you spicily doesn't love you. I don't think that's necessarily true.
Yeah.
Again, there are polyamorous relationships that are very healthy.
Right.
And that work great for those people. Comment 3, this marriage is over and you need to get out. And I definitely would not have unprotected spicy sleep with this man because he's likely already cheating. OP says, I don't think spicy sleep will be a problem right now. I don't even want to be touched. But I probably will take some advice from the thread and get an STI test to be on the safe side. Comment 4, these comments are out of pocket. You are absolutely the a-hole for how you're handling this. Not necessarily for leaving. Is this rage bait? Your partner brings something to you in what he thinks is a safe space, and you shut him down before even knowing what he's asking about. Your post makes it clear you don't know what polyamory is. You refuse to A, learn anything more about it when asked, and B, refuse to even humor him and think about it for more than 30 seconds it took to run through the convo you relayed. You then proceed to passive-aggressively punish him and look for the exit immediately when he tries to frantically backtrack. What happened to forgiveness, giving grace, or better or worse, my lord? How you should have handled this. Gently but firmly told him that you were against the idea of anything other than monogamy, but that because you loved him, you'd read a little bit more about the lifestyle and really consider it. Then read an article or two, and as soon as the next day, once you guys have both had time to sleep on it, told him, look, I read X, Y, and Z thing about it as a favor to you, but I'm still wildly uncomfortable with it. After sleeping on it, I can assure you I'm not ever going to want something other than monogamy. So the same exact thing, just longer.
Yeah.
So the same exact response,
Right.
just make him wait a day.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
Huh?
Like,
Huh? That doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't make sense.
This commenter's stupid.
It doesn't make sense. That's kind of like coming out to your partner as trans and then
Yeah.
expecting your partner to also transition.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yes.
right? Like
Yes,
like it's-
actually, yeah.
You could still be accepting of the partner
Yeah.
and like of their choices and stuff like that, but like it's just not for you.
Give him an opportunity to say, okay, honey, thanks for considering it. I really appreciate you taking this seriously. If he doesn't, then he's showing you a lot. You can't extrapolate from one silly convo. Anyway, you're the a-hole for not making a safe space for your spouse and giving less than no grace. OP says, I know what polyamory is. Yeah. Like, what is that comment? What is it talking about?
So crazy.
I'm sorry, if my partner came to me and said, hey, I'm into polyamory, let's
Yeah.
try it out. I personally don't want that. So
Right.
I would say no. And if they said, no,
Right.
well, you haven't even looked into it, I'd say, I actually know a lot about polyamory.
Yeah.
No.
It's like
It's still no.
The reason I'm saying no is because I know what it is.
Yeah.
And I know I don't want
If
that.
I didn't know what it was, I would say, what's that, honey?
Yeah.
I know what polyamory is. I don't need to consider to know that there are absolutely no conditions under which I would ever be comfortable having anything but a mutually monogamous, romantic, and spicy relationship. I know what my boundaries are, and so does he. We talked about these kinds of things before we got married. There's nothing to forgive, really. If that's what he wants, I respect him less for backtracking. It means he's wishy-washy and unreliable. He won't stand behind what he says if there are consequences. I think that's part of the revulsion I feel. Not only did he pitch something he knows full well goes against my core values, and then persist when I said no, he can't even stand by it afterwards. Like, it would be better if he had just said, I would like to try this, but I hear you when you say you aren't interested at all. This isn't a deal breaker for me, so let's talk about that part. Instead of, It was just a question. It's not that important. Stop refusing to touch me because you're uncomfortable and need space to calm down. I don't like it. And that's the end of that story. I need to divorce, but I don't want to leave my wife homeless. To sum up what's happening, I'm moving towards divorcing my wife, call her Susan, whom I've been with for 17 years, since I was 18 years old. Simple truth is that Susan and I don't have a partnership. It's not just that she hasn't had a job since 2013. She doesn't do anything to contribute to our relationship. By the way, this comes from Ghost Turtles, and if you want to spin your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I am the sole breadwinner. I take care of our finances, get groceries, clean the house, everything. She doesn't have any friends either because she doesn't make the effort to make them. I actually have to introduce her to people from my life, then politely hint that she should keep in touch. Hey, how's Jen doing? Maybe you should text her. Even then, the relationships always wither. In 2017, after years of soul searching, I asked Susan for divorce. She was so devastated that I reluctantly agreed to try marriage counseling. It seemed to finally help. She began applying for jobs and was open to therapy on her own, which I arranged and drove her to because she refuses to drive. But once the immediate danger of divorce no longer hung over our marriage, she reverted to her old ways. It's become a predictable pattern. When I ask why she won't apply for jobs, she says she doesn't know if she'll like them and claims she's interested in something else now. So I pay thousands of dollars for training or classes in the new thing, and after a few months, she quits. When I express my frustration, she cries and says, I make her feel like she can't do anything right. Consciously or not, this is extremely manipulative, and it makes me feel like the bad guy, and she avoids taking any responsibility. So even if she did get a job, it wouldn't really change things for me. I have 17 years of evidence showing that she won't truly change. I just don't trust her or respect her anymore. I don't think she's being malicious, but it almost doesn't matter. We don't have children, and I want to have children so desperately, but I can't have them with her. Although this weekend she said she wants to go to grad school, she also occasionally says she doesn't want to get a job because she wants to be a mom. But I cannot do that to a child. I don't know if Susan has any insight into why it's so clear to me that she couldn't handle motherhood. It's painful. I love her, but I've given her so much support and so many chances, and I can't have the life I want if I stay in this marriage. I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but I feel like I am an extraordinary husband, and she isn't grateful for anything I do. I'll probably have to pay her some sort of spousal support, perhaps indefinitely, but I'm more than willing to do that if I can have a chance at the life I want. I had a question for you because they said they got married or they have been together since they were 18.
Yeah.
And have been together for 17 years. So I was kind of wondering how many, in your experience, marriages where people have gotten together at 18 or gotten married at 18 last.
My own didn't.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't get married at 18.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm remarried now, but I met my ex-husband when I was 17,
Mhm.
and then we ended up getting married when I was 26 and divorced when I was 27. So
Yeah.
I think that it's hard to say because back in the day, I feel like people got
It's
married
much more
younger,
common, yeah.
and I think in certain parts of the country, it's like you go to college and get married and it's more prevalent. I also think it's a lot more prevalent for people to get married later in life nowadays. So
Yeah.
I don't think the fact that people got together young is necessarily indicative of whether the relationship will
Sure.
succeed or not. But I do see a lot of people whose marriages do end because they got together so young because
Yeah.
you don't even know who you are really at that age.
Which feels like that's kind of the
Yeah.
issue with her. It feels
Yeah.
like she doesn't know who she is and she's stuck in this kind of purgatory of being like, I don't know what I want in life.
I mean, assuming Riley's cynical viewpoint
Yeah.
aside
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
let's just take the story at face value
Yeah.
and assume that he
Yeah.
is telling his side of the
Yeah.
story and it's correct. Okay. I think that people do outgrow relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that, you do owe it to yourself to be in a fulfilling relationship and have a
Mhm.
good life. And if he doesn't feel like, he wants to have children, he doesn't want to
And he
have
doesn't
them with
trust
her.
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not, whatever her side of the story is,
Mhm.
if that's
Yeah.
how he feels
It's a deal
ultimately,
maker.
then
Yeah.
you have to trust the person you're with. You have to be a team. You have to have a partnership. And all of these things that he's saying are like major buzzwords for me that sound like it's not a healthy relationship
Yeah.
and that it's not right for him if that's how he feels. That doesn't mean that what he's saying about her is necessarily true. But if
Yeah.
he feels that way,
It's true to him.
then it's his truth and he needs to honor his truth.
I agree. OP continues, I'm just so afraid of hurting her. I know logically that it's not my job to live in misery to avoid hurting her feelings, and yet I'm terrified that she'll forever be haunted by the breakdown of the only relationship she's ever had. How do I do this? What should I do? I'm lost and in so much pain. Thank you for your time. And note, I imagine people will say Susan is depressed. That may be true, but she doesn't think so. As I mentioned, I found her a therapist and drove her to appointments, but she said she was fine and stopped going after 2 to 3 sessions. Addition number 1, to clarify, we do not have children and are not in danger of her getting pregnant. Addition number 2, Susan has never been diagnosed with a mental disorder and has no substance abuse issues. 3, a few people have said that from her behavior, Susan seems unintelligent. Ironically, she's actually very bright. If you believe standardized tests, she has more raw smarts than I do, which sort of makes this situation all the more frustrating. 4, Susan does conceivably have a place to go if and when we split. Her parents are good people who have the room and ability to take her in, which I think would be the best way forward. And there is an update. I followed your advice to leave my wife, which was the same advice I received from literally every person in my life. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done. I've never wept so hard as I did after I told my now ex, whom I've been with for half my life, that I filed for divorce and was leaving. But despite any pain and stress I've experienced in the last few months, filing for divorce was by far the best decision I've ever made. In that time, I've experienced a sense of lightness, possibility, and fierce joy I never knew was possible. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, including those from people looking for advice or comfort in similar situations. Here are some highlights and takeaways from my personal experience. The divorce process isn't a ton of fun. I had to switch attorneys when I realized the first law firm was unethically making the process more contentious than anyone wanted to boost their billable hours. I will end up paying a not insignificant amount of spousal support for a couple of years, but all of this is a very small price to pay for the freedom I now have. There have been emotional ups and downs for sure. Aside from one brief texting conversation, I haven't spoken with my ex since I left in September. Old habits die hard though. During long weekends alone, I've twice been overcome with guilt about leaving and broken down in tears. I know I don't truly have anything to feel guilty about. I think this is simply part of the process of grieving and extricating myself from the familiar emotional ruts I'd mistaken for reality for so long. Modern dating is strange and fun, but strange. The last time I was single, my phone flipped. Haha. So dating apps took some getting used to. That said, I was very relieved to find that my worst fears, that I would be an undesirable guy to date and would be forever alone, could not have been less realistic. I often had dates with 2 to 4 different women per week. I live in a major city, which helps. More than once, I found myself jokingly asking a lovely woman, "Are you sure you're on the right date? Like, have you seen me?" Okay, well, we don't need to put ourselves down. I'm not the crypt keeper or anything, but I look like what I am. A mid-30s creative guy who works in tech and owns entirely too much Nintendo memorabilia.
Whoa, is he still single?
Ladies, come on.
Come
right
on.
here.
How can you resist that description, guys?
Luckily, no ladies bolted mid-dinner. I did not plan on dating seriously for at least 6 months, but I met a woman on Tinder who is my dream girl, and so much more. We're deliriously happy. She's a few years younger than I am, but is deeply wise, as well as hilarious, kind, thoughtful, generous, and beautiful. This sounds like I'm making it up, but she's literally a professional model. As I joke with friends, I swear she's real, you guys. She just goes to a different school. There were many folks who reached out and said how much they related to my previous circumstances. So if I had any advice to share with those struggling with leaving a partner who is dependent on them, it would be this. Do not set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. We're on this earth for all too brief a trip, and it's not fair to make ourselves miserable just to avoid making someone else uncomfortable. Relationships should be about 2 people coming together because they want to share their lives, not because one of them needs the other. And anyway, people are more resilient than we can give them credit for. Thank you so much, Reddit. You helped change and save my life. If I can repay the favor by answering any questions, please let me know. There is an edit. I think this is clear if you read both posts, but I get that most folks won't, so just to be safe, I didn't leave just because of Reddit. Everyone in my life, including friends who loved both me and my ex, believed it was the right thing. Because I tried for years to get our marriage to work, she wouldn't reciprocate, and the effort hurt me. Reddit offered enormous comfort and further confidence, though, and I'm deeply grateful.
Who needs therapy when you got Reddit, right?
Reddit's
Am I
going to
right?
tell you harsh truths. Edit 2, quick notes to address some questions in the comments. What is my ex doing now? Aside from a brief text conversation, we haven't spoken since they left. Through my lawyer, I know that she's living with her parents and is looking for work. In the text conversation, she said she hopes we can be friends and talk when this is over. She also said she understands and respects my decision to not be in contact with her. Whether or not we'll have a relationship after this process, I truly don't know, but I admire the strength it took to send that magnanimous message, and I wish her only happiness and the best. How did my ex's parents take this? They understood completely. They didn't even ask why I was leaving. They already knew, which was both comforting and sad. What did my original lawyers do that made me seek new counsel? Well, they weren't billing me for hours they didn't work. Rather, they were creating unnecessary work so that they could have more hours of work to bill. Basically, they were misrepresenting my ex's lawyer as being much more aggressive and litigious than he actually was. I found this out when they described an email conversation they'd had with them, then accidentally, I assume, sent me the actual conversation as part of an unrelated email forward. The real conversation was nothing like what they'd reported. There were a lot of things like that. Yeah. It's like, if you're going to do that, do it better. Yeah.
If you're going to be unethical,
Don't
at least be
send
good
it
at
to
being
OP.
unethical.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
You're not actually dating a model because that's ludicrous. Or, haha, you're dating a model. Have fun paying for her life too, Einstein. Oh, yeah, totally. I agree. It's ludicrous, especially since I basically have the physique of a guy who loves ordering fitness DVDs but doesn't love opening them. She really is a model, and her looks are honestly the least beautiful thing about her. Also, she's 30 and knows modeling won't last forever, so she's already fielding offers to go back to work as a psychological counselor. How did my ex react when I told her about the divorce? She was terribly upset and lashed out at me verbally. I'd expected that and don't begrudge her for it. And I'd made arrangements for people. She loves to be nearby and come over right after the conversation so that she wouldn't be alone. And you know what's good for you? Listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. Why are you in another relationship so quickly? Have you actually met your new girlfriend? AKA, is she even real? Opie says, I definitely didn't intend to get into another relationship so soon, but things have gone incredibly well so far, and I cannot wait for my new girlfriend to use the money I sent her to get her buried inheritance out of Nigeria so we can finally meet. In all seriousness, these are great and totally fair questions. In fact, my friends and family, while absolutely thrilled to see me, were also concerned that I was jumping in too quickly until they met my girlfriend, Wendy. Saw what I saw and fell in love with her as well. Wendy is in some ways the opposite of my ex. She won't let me pay for anything outside of date night costs, for instance. She's very independent and she has a professional career as a psychologist that she's looking forward to returning to whenever the modeling time in her life is through. I'm sure I have a lifetime of lessons yet to learn, but although I will make mistakes in this and any relationship, I won't be repeating the mistakes from my marriage, promise. And folks, that's the end of that story. I think I would usually recommend taking some time if you've been in a long-term relationship, but I think sometimes you just
happen.
kind of happened. Yeah. Can't really expect it, or sometimes
I mean, I
out.
think he was out of that relationship for a long time, to be
Oh,
fair.
yeah.
So I think that
emotionally, absolutely.
he was checked out and he was just protecting his ex, as opposed to like
a caregiver.
Okay,
role, yeah.
I just came to the realization that I don't want to be in this relationship. Like, he even told his ex that he wanted a divorce many, many years ago, and she said, no, let's go to counseling. So
That's
I
a great
think
point.
he had one foot out the door, and so he was ready to be in something new as opposed to it being very fresh.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
I decided to break up with my girlfriend, but the lockdown changed my mind.
Ooh, was a time of reflection, the lockdown.
My fiance, 26 female, and I, 26 male, have been dating since college, and as we graduated, I proposed to her. However, we decided to get married only once we were both financially stable and comfortable with our jobs. 2 years down the road, we'd been living together for that long and finally met those requirements. Unfortunately, our love for each other has disappeared, or at least the spark we used to have has been gone. By the way, this comes from Throwaway1123, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Riley.
And I'm Angie.
And Opie says, we became increasingly busy. She was juggling her graduate education plus a job, and I was consumed with work. I admit I'd been spending way too much time at the office, and once I got home, I used my free time to get ahead with deadlines. She was constantly stressed balancing her education and teaching job. We never had time for each other anymore, but we were too busy even to notice. Then March came. She approached me with the subject, We had a long emotional talk. We'd known each other for so long after all, and we were reaching our end after so many years. She was already booking flights to stay with her parents for a while when the lockdown was announced. She decided not to go home in fear of possibly carrying the virus and infecting her family. I agreed with that decision, and since then, we've been isolating together. We're both working from home now, and she also finished her studies in April. Because of that, we have been having a lot of free time. At first, it felt awkward. I didn't even know how to talk to her anymore. I'd got used to short and empty small talk with her, but she's always known how to get me out of my shell, so it didn't take long before we were having full conversations again. I discovered she'd developed a newfound love for playing Sims 4. She showed me the family she was currently playing with, and I noticed it was herself and me, plus a dog and a cat, whose names were our birth months. She'd been so shy initially, but she doesn't know that I was also feeling flustered. I think this was the start of me questioning our decision to break up. After that, it was the small things. I caught her up on how my life had been, and since then, she started pushing me to work out with her and trying to get me to eat healthier foods. I also came to discover new things about her in these months, which was surprisingly considering we'd been together for so many years. These past few months have been really good. I feel like I was brought back into the times when we first met, and I feel like a high schooler with a crush. The thing is, I'm not sure if I can trust my feelings right now. The only person I've had contact was with her, except for our frequent calls with our family and friends, and I might just be having an infatuation. I also think we're lucky since we both are very free right now, but I keep thinking, what happens after the lockdown ends? Will we go back to being those busy people with too little time for each other? I also don't know how to approach her with this. She always has been the talker in our relationship, but I'm also afraid to talk about it and potentially ruin things for us right now. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if she's just treating me kindly because that's who she is, a genuinely kind person? The only hope I'm holding on to right now is the fact that she hasn't planned on going back to her family yet, despite domestic travel being allowed in our country. How do I go about this? A romantic gesture.
What would that be in
A
this situation?
very large romantic gesture. Be like, look, girl, I've noticed that we've both been very busy, and I don't like that for our relationship.
Yeah.
And I want to change that. And I want to be with you because I love being in love with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are just busy. You guys are both just busy.
Yeah. And that happens. And I mean, yeah, if you're going to be in a marriage with anyone, that's going to come up. This stuff is not like, obviously if it's happening, very soon in their relationship, like just a few years in, that's something that you want to, work on and see if that's something that you're both willing to work on.
Yeah.
But in general, it's going to happen in a marriage eventually. So
I understand, but I think sometimes, I'm just going to speak from the heart. Sometimes I think the devil's just trying to make you busy so you don't enjoy what's in front of you. If you just are busy, running around, you can't actually sit and enjoy your works or like what you got around you.
Yeah, you need to take some time to reflect and appreciate.
So after posting that, nothing really happened. I spent the day reflecting on what kind of future I see and want with her. I also thought a lot about the past, how we messed it up, how we both got too lost in our jobs. My original post, I asked if what I'm feeling could be an infatuation that would disappear as quickly as it came. But I realized that my feelings for her never really disappeared to begin with. It's like my heart just went into a deep sleep and I forgot how much I care for her. I think some of you may know that I'm not really good at communicating my feelings. I tend to keep things to myself, and my fiancé is one of the few people who can be patient with that. Some suggested writing her a letter, a note, or marrying her in Sims. I ended up with drafts of sappy letters that I scrapped up and a sad attempt to recreate us in Sims. But still, I wanted to make an effort to show her what I couldn't say through words. I heard about her wanting a few DLCs for The Sims in the past, so I had the idea to get her a few. The Sims DLCs are pretty expensive, especially in our currency. I surprised her by stealing her laptop for a few hours, and once I gave it back to her, she was elated and so happy. It was really nice to see her get excited over it. We played Sims that whole day and tried to solve the mystery in Strangerville, a game back in The Sims. It was so fun. The next day, I found her in the kitchen trying to bake something. It was a blueberry cheesecake recipe she saw on YouTube. I basically became her cooking assistant that day, helping her as much as I could. We ended up with a pretty decent outcome and that I bet would have tasted better if I hadn't messed up so much. She still said she had so much fun and loved the cheesecake though. The next day, something important happened. We basically snuggled up on the couch playing when our Sims just autonomously tried for a baby in the bed. It was hilarious, and we initially laughed about it, but we got pretty silent, closed their laptop, and hugged me tightly without saying anything. I think that was my realization that she feels the same as I. So I had to speak up. I'm still impressed with myself for managing to talk without choking up, basically opening up the conversation, like asking if she was planning to go to her parents soon. She said no. She doesn't really feel like it yet. I asked her why, and she told me she wanted to stay. I told her I wanted to stay. We went to sleep together that night and just huddled together. Even though we didn't really explicitly say it, I think we are now aware of each other's feelings, and it feels like a really huge improvement to me.
Great.
All right.
So maybe, they weren't getting spicy inspired by The Sims. I think they were just thinking about children.
Okay.
But we're
I
just
guess
down.
emotionally spicy.
Sure.
They're like, oh, so you want to stay?
Like, ooh, maybe kids wouldn't be such a bad idea. Maybe these Sims are learning from us. Maybe these Sims are taking over and copies of us, and they know before we did that we do want kids and we should do that. Then they start, dude, that's a Black Mirror episode for sure.
Boom.
I think there actually is a Black Mirror episode like that. There's like little people in a freezer or something.
Nope, that's Love, Death, and Robots.
Okay.
So earlier, we ate breakfast together. We weren't as chatty as we've been in the last few months, but the silence was comforting. We also watched Knives Out together. We haven't had the conversation yet, but I'm going to try to bring it up to her tonight. I'm really glad this whole ordeal went much nicer than I expected it would, and I'm relieved I didn't let my doubts get the best of me. Though I still have to get better with how I communicate things, I'm going to learn for her. We have a second update.
Oh,
This is
I
so
like this. This is
cute.
really sweet. I was really worried that that it's like the opposite, and I know the title did not say it, but at first when I heard the title, I thought it was like, oh, I was feeling good about my relationship until the vid.
Got it.
But I'm very glad that it was not that. It's the complete opposite.
Vid did some good.
Yeah.
When it came around.
Yeah.
At least it
Especially when
saved
it's-
one relationship.
Yeah.
When you
silver
say all
lining.
that was worth it.
Isn't it good? Isn't it good that this all happened? But yeah, because we do know that. Oh, I think we've heard some stories, or I wouldn't be surprised if we heard some stories that were the opposite.
Oh no, it was
plenty.
mainly the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a second update. Hi. Okay. I posted this thanking the same people who saw my last post would respond, and seeing that a few users wanted to update back then, so I thought, hey, what the heck? Why not give a little update right now and leave it at that? Now I have 5 times more the audience than I had last time. Right now, my fiancé is sleeping next to me. Yes, we had the talk. As soon as I posted this, I logged out, gathered myself so I could tell her what's been on my mind for a couple of months. It's not really something so exciting. We basically just sat down and talked about what went wrong before. I told her the things I said in the last post, and she admitted to worrying about what happens after the lockdown gets fully lifted too. We both acknowledge that we worked too hard to become financially stable so that we could get married. Right now, all we could do is promise and talk about how we were going to manage our time better. Then we talked about our feelings. I got to tell her I love her again for the first time in years probably. And she told me the same. You haven't told her you loved her in years?
I mean, they said that they were having these problems and were debating. They were talking about, like, she almost moved away. Literally right before the vid crashed down, she was going to move with her parents to separate, basically.
After that, it was back to lighter conversation. We basically just bonded until she fell asleep. Oh, and if you're falling asleep, join us on your favorite podcast platform on Apple, iHeartRadio, or Spotify, and listen to 71 beautiful nights of our voices. And
Yep, we can
it.
read you bedtime stories while you're falling asleep.
yeah,
Bedtime
yeah.
stories of, cheating. of
Cheating, divorce,
heartbreaks,
DNA
divorce,
test.
robberies, and sometimes,
Robberies?
in this case, love. Yeah, there's
Ooh, look at
robberies that happen.
I guess in the rare case.
We read one like 20 minutes ago.
Well, I will. Okay. News to me. We got a little bit left. This is beautiful.
It's beautiful. I like it. I like this story.
I honestly thought only a handful of people would see my post. I made sure to use Reddit because this isn't really a big platform in our country, and I was sure she wouldn't see this post, but now there are like 20,000 upvotes as I'm typing this. I think she might stumble upon this post sooner or later. Well then, I know she's going to be complaining a lot about this, but she'd be glad to know that a lot of people found a relationship wholesome. Thank you to the comments. And you guys did a lot for me. Great. I don't care. Great. Dude, that's amazing.
It is really wholesome.
My friend staged an intervention to get me to break up with my boyfriend.
They are very serious about this.
I'm 19 female and have been dating my boyfriend for 5 months now. He's really sweet and kind. One of those matcha latte feminist literature guys you see on TikTok. He's also incredibly funny and goes out of his way to include me in activities, even when I'm too overwhelmed to really enjoy them. I'm in the middle of getting an autism diagnosis, so that's why I get overwhelmed easily. We have a he talks, I listen relationship, which is perfect because I could listen to him talk for days. By the way, this comes from Odd Expression 923, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Angie.
And OP says, my friends, however, hate him. Oh, no. I don't have a very big friend group, 5 female and 2 male. The first time we went on a date, they said, he looks like he'd mount your eyeballs on his walls, and kept commenting on his appearance. I told him that wasn't fair because he's very handsome, and even if he wasn't, it wouldn't matter since I don't care about that stuff. When I told my boyfriend what they said, we had a good laugh about it. Now it's an inside joke where he points at his shelf and says, that's where I'm going to display your eyes, which my friends find disturbing. They've made numerous comments about his personality and looks, saying stuff like, you're too pretty for him, and he's annoying like a dog that doesn't stop barking. Here's where I think I might be the a-hole. My boyfriend has an ex-girlfriend who calls and pesters him constantly. I'm talking non-stop anonymous phone calls for 2 hours straight. It's mostly stopped now, but it was pretty consistent at the start of our relationship. About a month ago, I started receiving similar calls. I ignored them for the most part, but at some point they forgot to turn off no caller ID, and it was my best friend's number. I was annoyed and asked her why she was doing that. She confessed and told me they thought if I believed I was being pestered by his ex, I'd break up with him. I was fuming and told her she needs to back off because my relationship is none of her business. The whole friend group had been ignoring me for the past couple of days until last night when they put me into a group chat for an intervention. They kept saying how I could do so much better than my boyfriend, and they just wanted me to see how annoying he truly was. They've never even met him because they refused to. I told them all to F off and left the group chat. They all keep spamming my phone saying I was rude and need to apologize. So am I the a-hole? I feel like one, but at the same time, they're being plain rude and disrespectful to my boyfriend and my relationship. I'm currently on holiday in Turkey and have been for the past week, so I'm going to talk to them all in person when I get back. That's why I haven't blocked them yet, since they've been my friends for years, and I don't want to cut them off until I actually talk to them in person. I've let my boyfriend know what's going on, so he's now in the loop and agrees I should speak to my friends before cutting them off. And there are some comments, but what do you think OP should do?
I am so taken aback by the fact that they haven't even met him yet.
That was the craziest part to me.
Yeah,
that was the craziest part
to
me.
I gasped because that's like, how do they know that he's a dog that won't stop barking if they haven't even met him?
I don't understand where they're getting any of this information.
No.
Because I thought that they had met him.
Me too.
But like, I really, maybe some of them had? I'm really quite confused by that.
Yeah, maybe some of them have, or maybe they've met over like video call or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just, it's hard because especially if this is their first relationship,
Yeah.
which I don't know if was completely. I don't know if that was.
I mean, Opie's 19, so it's
so
probably
it-
like
it
at
could
least
be.
first serious relationship, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Like I
I feel like
understand.
they're territorial.
It's very possible. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I understand if like someone has friends that are like, oh, I don't know. Like sometimes you can trust your friends' opinions of your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the person that's like totally ignoring their friends for their boyfriend, but that's
Yeah.
not what's happening in the situation. Like they are just going off of nothing, giving bad reasons, and then
Yeah.
acting so immaturely and trying to pretend to be his ex, calling you.
That's crazy. But there are some comments. Comment 1, I mean, do you want to be friends with these people? Because at a certain point, it's going to come down to your boyfriend or them. Because they're not going to stop. They've already tried something. It'll only get worse. Honestly, for your boyfriend, I would tell him to break up with you. And if you still... Honestly, for your boyfriend, I would tell him to break up with you if you still insist on being friends with them. Because they could do something next that winds him in handcuffs. OP says, I've been friends with them for a few years now, and I've never seen them acting like this before. It's all very out of the blue, but if they continue acting like this, I won't have a choice but to cut them off. Update, things have gone south. Uh-oh. I asked my best friend Sarah to meet with me the week I got back from holiday to talk things out, and she agreed. We met up at a cafe, and she told me everything, including that, yes, this all started because one of my male friends has a crush on me. Apparently, he's liked me since we met 2 years ago and has been begging our friends to help him get with me. She said she was shocked I didn't know because they'd always make sure he bumped into me, made sure we sat together at hangouts, and talked about him when he wasn't there. I hadn't noticed any of that. I feel a bit stupid now because if I had noticed, I would have just told him I wasn't interested. He was really upset when I got a boyfriend, which I do feel bad about in a way. Sarah told me they all decided to try and get me and my boyfriend to break up. And when I told them about my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend pestering him, they decided it would be the thing to break us up. The rest of the talk at the cafe went as well as it possibly could go. I told her I didn't want to be contacted by anyone anymore. And she said I was being dramatic. I didn't bring up the money they owe me because at this point I just want this whole ordeal over with. Here comes the real punter though. 4 days after the cafe meeting, my boyfriend starts getting bombarded with Instagram DMs. He has a public Instagram that I've shown them before, so I guess that's where they got it from. He showed me the DMs and they're genuinely disgusting. I don't want to repeat any of what they said because it's mostly threats, slurs, and pesterment. Yikes! Big yikes. Oh my goodness, yikes. Wow.
It's really just another story of like you're just confirming why I'm rejecting
Yeah.
you. Like
It just, again, also shocking that we didn't see these red flags. I'm mortified when he shows me. He blocks the accounts and ends up making his account private. That's when I start getting spam messages with the same stuff. Me and my boyfriend have had a talk about this and have decided to just let them tire themselves out. I thought he was going to break up with me over this, honestly, but he hasn't. Just comforted me, which is really nice. So yeah, it's a crap situation, but I'm just gonna have to wait it out. On a happier note, me and my boyfriend are going strong. Yay! I love him a lot, and thankfully he's willing to put up with such an awful situation, even when he doesn't and shouldn't have to. I woke up this morning to about 7 messages from my old friends on Tumblr, which I forgot to block them on. Only 2 are relevant. The boy who has a crush on me, I'll call Derek, and Sarah. I'll put Sarah's message first since it was pretty much what I expected. Hi, sweetie. I know you've blocked me on everything but I wanted to clear some things up. 1, we aren't angry with you. When you calm down, we're more than happy to be friends with you again. I'm sorry it got dragged to this point, but we all love you and genuinely want the best for you, which we know isn't boyfriend. 2, I know the others have messaged you this, but we want to set up a date where we can all talk about this in person. I know me and you talked, but it's only fair if everyone else gets to say their piece. We all care for you a lot, and you cutting us off like this hurts a lot. Quite frankly, you're acting like a child who's throwing her toys out of the pram because we want what's best for you. Let us know what day suits you best, and we'll organize the talk from there. By the way, you should organize listening to full episode stories just like this Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up Okie Storytime. There is a little bit left. Yikes! Wow, these people are really, really blind and self-absorbed.
Yeah. I'm so shocked by that. That's so insane.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You just have to.
You're acting like a child. Crazy.
Yep.
When you guys are the one prank calling OP.
Literally.
And then to say just like we are owed a conversation.
Yeah.
No.
And you know it's not going to be a conversation too. Like everyone deserves to say their piece.
It's just going to be them yelling at OP.
100% and just like building off of each other, cuz
Yeah.
OP said that this isn't a big friend group, but 7 people other than OP.
Mm-hmm.
Or even including, that's still a lot. Like that is a lot of people that are just going to sit there and just build off of each other and just like, oh
harass
yeah,
OP.
and then that's another thing, and then it's like just rant. There's no reason for OP to be there. They need to rant on their own. OP should not respond, or if she does, then just to be like, nah.
Nah. But Derek also messaged something.
Oh gosh.
And this is the guy who had a crush on OP. Derek's message is pretty much the same. Hi, I know things have pretty much exploded between us, but I talked to Sarah and I need to talk to you. Honestly, I'm effing amazed you didn't know I love you because that crap was obvious as F. Like, I knew you were oblivious, but Christ almighty. Just so you know, I've loved you since we first met. And I know boyfriend isn't good for you. You need someone who can understand your issues, and that's not him. And you effing know that. Wow. You just said you had issues. Crazy.
And you effing know that too? That's so aggressive for no reason.
Message me back when you've come to your damn senses and unblock us.
What a great way to start a relationship. Can you imagine?
Yikes.
Like, you're freaking stupid that you didn't see I loved you.
You
I
have so
loved
many
you from
issues.
the first time we met, which is not possible.
Yeah.
And then like, oh yeah,
you
got
clearly
issues.
don't love her now.
Yeah, this is
You're
not
bullying her.
absolutely. That's like what is she gonna do? Just be like, oh, you're so right.
I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you're so right. You do love me, and I was stupid.
I've been stupid this whole time.
Like, no.
The rest of the messages are basically along the same lines, which isn't great. I feel awful, and honestly, at this point, I'm just done. I've also been sent images of myself from the spam messages, and it's creepy as heck. At this point, I'm just lost. I've shown everything to my boyfriend, and we're going out tonight to report it. Pretty bad update, but hopefully everything will stop soon. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
But that is the end of that story.
My husband prioritizes his sick mother over us, and it's starting to ruin our family.
I'm sick of this.
And there's a trigger warning for mentions of abuse. I never really post on Reddit, but I need advice because I don't know what to do anymore. My husband and I have been married for a decade. We have 5 children, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, a decision we made together. And by the way, this comes from user meanbutterfly4526. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We're just a goofy little gang. We only know what we would do. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. OP says, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with high blood pressure. She refused to take her prescribed medication, believing all she needed to do was pray and fast for healing. Well, 3 years ago, she had a stroke that left her with aphasia and wheelchair-bound about 80% of the time. She spent many months in the hospital, and when she was discharged, my husband went over for a couple of weeks to help her settle in. A caretaker and nurse were hired to help her. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law is a difficult patient, and she has cycled through many caretakers and nurses. She has been physically and verbally harmful to her care team. For example, one evening, a caretaker called because my mother-in-law fired her at 3 a.m. and threw objects at her when the caretaker told her she couldn't leave until someone else came over to take care of her. All this commotion led to my husband spending more and more time at my mother-in-law's, trying to sort out her care. Initially, he would drive to her place after work every other day to check that all was in order. His mother lives an hour away from us, so driving back and forth after work was strenuous. He asked to sleep over there instead of driving back. Over time, his sleepovers at my mother-in-law's became more frequent and extended. Last month, he only spent 1 week at home with me and the children. The rest of the month was spent at his mother's. Last time he was home, our youngest was afraid of him because he thought he was a stranger.
Oh. Yeah, that's not good. That's like a wake-up call, though.
Yeah, it should be. I have raised this issue with him, but he accuses me of being heartless and uncaring. He tells me that his mother needs him. During our call yesterday, I told him that I was thinking of divorce because I am currently living as a single parent, and he didn't take it too kindly. Yeah, who would take that kindly?
Hopefully he wakes up, though.
I mean, look, you cannot just swing divorce around unless you really mean it, first of all.
Which I think she does.
But
I think she's tired of this.
It's not like he's hanging out with the boys.
No.
His mom had a stroke.
Yeah.
And refuses to let others take care of her.
Yeah. I think he's in a very tough situation, but also needs to kind of listen to what I don't think he's hearing what OP's saying.
Yeah. Well, we have some comments. Comment 1. His mom needs to be moved into a care home that is equipped to handle her. He is a dad, and he can't abandon his family over 75% of the time. It's harming his relationship with you and the kids. My whole thing is I feel like there's so many more solutions to this way before we're like, all right, we're going to divorce unless this stops.
Yeah.
Like that seemed like a miscalculation. Don't threaten divorce unless you're ready to go down that path. It is not an empty threat, and it's not something you can always come back from. There's a reply, add to the above comment that they will also be multiple people on each shift, so they're not getting burned out dealing with her behavior. And another reply, as someone that works in skilled nursing, I can tell you that facilities do get burnt out. And if the patient is so bad that they can't provide care to her, they will find a way to get her out of the facility. I've seen it done many times. And once she starts getting a name across town, it'll be difficult to find placement for her. Another reply, as someone who has worked in multiple SNFs and ALFs, and I've done home care, I can guarantee that there will be a facility that lets her stay no matter how cantankerous she may be, as long as she can pay for her stay. It may not be a top-notch facility, and she may get some sleepy time meds, but they'll keep her. Another reply, and there are people that enjoy working with the feisty people. I love the TBI units, and will seek out facilities that have them when I'm looking for work. I will take care of your punchy grandma. And there is another comment. Last time he was home, our youngest was afraid of him because he thought he was a stranger. So what was his reaction to this? Because quite frankly, if this wasn't a wake-up call for him, I'm not sure anything else you say would be. A reply says, if it was a wake-up call, OP wouldn't be posting. Her husband has the mindset of, I care for my mother, so you care for the rest. He's counting on I'm dad to give him a relationship with his wife and kids. But if he's not around, they're going to move on without you. Life doesn't stop when you leave your family. Your kids grow up without you. Your wife gets by without you. And eventually, you're just not necessary. Comment 3, it's not really realistic for his mom to be at home anymore. It's time for her to go into a care home. I know no one wants to do that, but he can't sustain this. Not just because his family needs him, and they do, which is more than enough of a reason, but because this will only get more demanding. Comment 4, I would just get a lawyer. He knows what he's doing. He has other options, but he won't take them. And he's making you and the kids pay the price because his mother is such an a-hole that she gave caregivers a hard time.
I don't know. I feel like that
It's been a month, people.
I feel like that comment's a little harsh to be like the man who's taking care of his sick mother knows what he's doing. I don't think he knows what he's doing at all.
No one knows what they're doing with this.
Yeah, to be clear, that's not saying that's not a problem, but I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think that's why you have to have the conversation and like figure out a way to fix this.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm skipping that one. There's an edit, though. I see comments asking the same question, so I'm going to answer some here. My husband is my mother-in-law's only child. Our youngest is 15 months old. I spent most of the pregnancy alone because of this situation. I had to drive our older children to extracurricular activities while I was heavily pregnant.
So I don't think it's been just a month.
Right. Well, I think the staying at her place has just been a month.
Yes.
He was at his mother's when I went into labor, and our neighbor drove me to the hospital while his wife took care of our children.
Dang.
Yeah, that's
Which is like, still a problem, clearly. But like something that needs to be addressed. And if he's not willing to address it, then this is an issue. But yeah.
I did not expect the number of children we have to be controversial. I only mentioned our 5 children to provide context on this issue. I don't want to go into specifics, but how and why we have 5 children is more complicated than you might imagine. Our house was bought by my father-in-law for our family. He was a staunch Christian who believed in family values, so he bought this house to support our marriage and family. He was a voice of reason and often played the role of marriage counselor. We miss him terribly. My mother-in-law does behave better when my husband is around because he knows how to calm her down. Even though she is harmful, my husband knows how to de-escalate. She has not been diagnosed with dementia. When we spoke about a care home, my husband was not willing to consider it because my mother-in-law is attached to her home, and he was told that moving her to a place where she's unfamiliar with her surroundings may cause her to deteriorate. He also said there are many horror stories of elderly abuse at care homes, which is true. We spoke again after my post. He was weeping, saying that his mother is passing away and he wants to spend as much time as possible with her before she passes. He said threatening divorce was cruel.
I mean, there's not care home is not the only option. I've had kind of both experiences. My grandfather on my mom's side was in a care home because he was dealing with dementia. And then on my dad's side, my grandmother, they have like a person an in-home carer who comes and helps and stuff. And so that wouldn't necessarily mean that he's, fully not, like he would still be going and stuff and helping out, but he would probably be doing a lot less work. Like a lot of that burden would be lifted.
Yeah. So
there's multiple options here. It's just you guys both need to be on the same page that this isn't working the way that it's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like he is aware of that as well.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, what do I do?
He literally doesn't know what to do. Am I
supposed to just like let my mom just like fall apart? I don't know. There's another edit. There are a couple of things I want to clarify. My husband is supervising the nurses and caregivers who care for my mother-in-law. The caregivers and nurses are board-certified professionals with experience in elderly care. Her behavior is more agreeable when my husband is around, and there are fewer fits of anger. So he's not wiping my mother-in-law's bottom as someone crudely suggested. Many have asked why I allowed this issue to continue for so long. My answer is that my mother-in-law was a kind, supportive, and generous woman before the stroke. She lived with us for 3 months when we had our first baby, cooked, cleaned, and cared for the baby when I needed sleep. She was always willing to take the children when my husband and I needed some time to ourselves. The children loved visiting their Nana and Papa. Yes, I am frustrated that her refusal to take her prescription caused this chaos and that she has treated her care team poorly, but the last 3 years are not a full reflection of who she was and the life she lived. She dedicated much of her life to her family, community, and charity work, so please don't condemn her. I have read comments from those with experience in traumatic brain injury rehab, and I do believe the stroke has affected her impulse control and emotional regulation. I also want to add that the stroke happened a few months after the passing of my father-in-law. Yeah, many layers to this complicated emotional lasagna. The children and I drove to my mother-in-law's yesterday. I'm letting the kids take some time off school, and the mood instantly lifted when we arrived. As I write this, my toddler is sitting on my mother-in-law's lap having a conversation only the two of them understand. My husband and the older children are playing tag. The caregivers are also cheerful. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories like this on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. And we have a little bit more story here. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
When I arrived, my husband and I had a deep conversation about this issue. I apologized for threatening divorce and told him that I am feeling extremely overwhelmed and exhausted, which has affected my interactions with the children because I have become extremely impatient. We cried. We are going to have a serious conversation with my mother-in-law, hopefully later today, where we will detail how this has affected our lives suggest an assisted living facility, and give her the opportunity to provide her input. It's looking positive but uncertain. There's a very long road ahead of us and many life-changing decisions to be made.
Yeah.
And that is the end of that story. Well, it sounds like you're knocking on the door of figuring it out.
It's so hard trying to like help your aging parents, grandparents, My wife's coworkers got into each other's faces. Now she's considering resigning.
I feel like that's fair.
Trigger warning, physical altercation. Warning, it was a crazy day. My wife, 34 female, has worked at a really small casual business for about 3 years with only about 12 employees. Since I, 30 female, work from home, I'll often go into her office and work from there. They have extra space and it allows me to get some social interaction and spend more time with my wife. By the way, this comes from Crazies at Work, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I've become pretty good friends with everyone because I've been going in there on and off for 3 years. The story involves one girl, 35-ish female named Jen, and her half-sister Amanda, 30-ish female. My wife and I are pretty good friends with both of them. On Thursday, my wife and I went into her office and brought food and drinks for everyone to enjoy prior to the holiday. This is pretty regular at this workplace. Everyone was working, having a good time, and getting along. People started drinking around 2:30 because things had slowed down. The boss also left around this time to go out of town for the weekend. Jen and another girl were making fun of Amanda a little and trying to pressure her into staying at the office until 5 so they could leave early and go to happy hour. Amanda, being pregnant and having another young child, doesn't always work full-time and obviously doesn't drink. She didn't want to stay, so her older sister started being rude and making comments. I was in the room working, so I heard Jen tell Amanda that she needed the hours because her boyfriend couldn't support her. Amanda said he was supporting her just fine right now. Jen then told her he wouldn't be tomorrow. Amanda got up and walked out, obviously upset and crying. She asked to use my wife's phone and call the boss to say she was quitting. She told the boss her sister was being rude and trying to pressure her to stay. Next thing I knew, Jen ran up to her sister, who was crying and cleaning out her desk, screaming at her that the boss had just texted her to go ahead and leave for today, and that someone else could stay. They started getting into each other's faces and doing the whole, hit me, I wish you would, kind of back and forth threatening. At this point, because no one else was, I got in the middle and told them to calm down, and that this wasn't the place or time for this conversation. Jen screamed at me to stay the F out of it and that this was sister stuff. So I said it still wasn't the place for it. They walked away from each other, but Jen was fuming. I went back to my desk. Someone said something to me and I said, I didn't know why we couldn't just get along, that this wasn't the way to deal with a problem or the place to do stuff like this. Jen heard me and walked in, got in my face, snapped her hand, and sarcastically said, thank you. Then she walked away.
These girls are being so rude. I will say, don't walk back into the other room and continue to talk about them.
Not.
That probably wasn't the best plan with two girls that are really heated right now.
Let's not bring anything up. Another girl, Katie, volunteered to take Amanda home to help de-escalate the situation. Amanda grabbed her stuff to leave, but had to walk by Jen's desk, which is sadly by the door. According to someone else, Jen started saying not to take Amanda home and to just make her walk. They started yelling at each other again, pulling up stuff that only sisters know, like, at least my car didn't get repoed. I walked in when they were in each other's face again. I stood there frozen for a second, and suddenly Jen lunged forward. Then they started slugging each other. I ran in and got between them, yelling at them to stop and physically trying to pull them off each other. My wife, who walked in about this time, saw me in the middle and ran to help. She stood with her arms out on each of their shoulders, trying to keep them apart. They were still yelling, so my wife started yelling, stop it, over and over. Jen started yelling at my wife, F you, shut the F up. I yelled back not to talk to her like that. We stood between them and started yelling at Amanda to just leave right now. Walk out the door. Amanda eventually walked out. I walked out. Amanda was outside in Katie's car about to go home. We walked into the back room in shock. We saw Jen get on the phone and walk into the bathroom. My wife then saw her run out fast, We heard someone yell something like, "My car!" Another girl told us to just stay in the room we were in. A minute later, I had to check and I saw Jen get into her car and drive off. We found out later that Jen had run outside, opened the car door, and they started it again. That was Katie yelling, "They're fighting in my car." She pulled them off each other and took Amanda home. Other people in the office were saying they didn't want this to get back to the boss. It should. These girls should get fired.
100% should.
I don't care if
100%
they're
should go to the
sisters.
boss.
They said Jen and Amanda had a tough life and basically we shouldn't have gotten involved. That is ridiculous. Come on. You are in a place of work. You are supposed to be professional. I don't care if you're sisters and you've had a tough life. Be professional. Eventually, we got a call from Amanda that she had called the police, and she texted me to ask if Jen was still there because the police were bringing her back. She also called the boss, who contacted my wife and said she was on her way back. The police came and got my name and number since I witnessed it. The cop asked who started it, and I told the truth. Jen started it verbally, but Amanda wouldn't walk away. They were in each other's face, and Jen hit first. After this, the cop left, and Amanda was just there crying. She started telling us things about Jen and her upbringing we didn't know. She said that her mom and Jen had always been so mean to her. How should we handle it? What should my wife say to the boss? Should she still work there if they let them both stay? And there is an update.
Wow.
Say the truth.
Yeah.
Say the truth. I think you just say what you witnessed, that you got in between it to stop it because no one else was willing to help you guys. You got yelled at, and then the police were called.
Yeah.
And
I don't
keep it
think
at
there's
that.
any need for any other information except exactly what happened that day.
Yeah, and I don't think that your wife has to leave necessarily unless she is uncomfortable, unless Jen and Amanda both stay and make her uncomfortable.
Yeah. I don't think she has to leave,
Yeah.
but I also could
It's just-
totally, like,
yeah.
if she comes to you and she's like, I want to leave.
Yeah, then
sure.
absolutely. Then she's no longer comfortable in this workplace. Update. I'd like to clarify a few things. This behavior isn't a regular occurrence, not at my wife's work, and definitely not in our life. This was the first time we had witnessed anyone acting like this. My wife works at a very casual and creative place. She's a graphic designer. People sometimes bring their pets, children, and SOs to work. They often eat lunch together as a company and make an effort to celebrate and enjoy each other. Sometimes
Okay.
booze is involved, other times it isn't. It is a family-owned business. The owner is a very nice guy and has a tendency to hire people that need second chances at life. Him and his wife also have 6 children of varying nationalities, all adopted. Because of the owner's tendency to give everyone a chance, it has resulted in some bad hires. He'll often hire family of current employees just to help them out. They come from some rough backgrounds and often say things like, "F the police" and "snitches get stitches." Jen was actually hired first, and Amanda was hired based on her recommendation. From all accounts, they've both been very nice people at work and great employees up until this point. For clarity, the owner was out on vacation last week, and the manager, April, was there all week and left only a short time before the drama went down. I decided it was best for me to stay out of her work drama for this week and not go in. We didn't hear from anyone over the weekend. The police also haven't contacted me. When she showed up Monday, neither Jen nor Amanda were there. My wife asked April if they'd be coming in, and she said they were not coming in that day, but they were still deciding what to do. Once the owner got in, he asked my wife what she thought about the event, and she told the truth. Amanda did a lot of things wrong and should have walked away, but Jen was definitely the instigator. She also told them she was scared of Jen after seeing her behave that way, and that it would be very hard to work with her. He said, I want to give everyone a second chance. My wife was floored. She said she understood second chances, but when it came to violence, it was a risky second chance to take on behalf of every other employee. He even mentioned Jen coming in on Tuesday. My wife was definitely not happy. He said he wanted to give Amanda the same chance, but that she had quit before this went down and didn't think there was any chance she'd come back. He thought he might have them work on alternate days. I think if he hadn't talked to my wife, he would have had them, or at least Jen, come back immediately. Important to note that the other witnesses besides my wife and myself were Jen's cousin and her lifelong friend. They were clearly more hesitant to say anyone was the instigator or take a stand that either should be fired. My wife was the only one willing to paint an accurate picture of what happened. Everyone seemed willing to get over it, move on, and put on a happy face, except my wife. April seems to really understand the severity, but the owner doesn't. We basically decided that if Jen came back, my wife would start looking for new jobs and leave ASAP. We are genuinely scared for her to work with her, especially with the mentality of the employees and the fact my wife and I intervene. Not to mention, my wife has spoken up and said she doesn't feel either of them should come back. but especially Jen. Today, my wife went in and they weren't there. She immediately talked to April and said, I don't want to be the only one with a problem with her working here. If I am, then maybe I'm the odd one out. April said, you aren't the odd man out. More people feel this way. Not sure who, because no one else is acting like it. My wife said the owner indicated she would be back soon, and April said, no, it will be a while before she can come back. Not really saying if she is or isn't, just that it won't be now. By the way, you should listen to full episodes now with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. The police also stopped by the office today. Apparently, they can't get a hold of Amanda anymore. I know she's okay because she's been posting on Facebook. I think she's just scared to follow through with pressing charges. Snitches get stitches. So what do you guys think? Are we the crazy ones for feeling like Jen should not work there any longer? Should my wife be willing to put on a smile and work with this person? Or should she continue to be vocal about her desire for Jen not to return? Just the fact that they wanted her to come back makes my wife want to quit. But at the same time, they really seem to respect her and her opinion, and only seemed to reconsider when she disagreed.
That one's like, so I think at most you go back to the boss one more time.
Yeah.
You re-express your concerns. You can add into that, I will probably be leaving if
she stays.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then after that, though, I don't think you can, like, if you decide to stay, you can't really keep bringing it up.
No, I agree.
My wife is angry that I'm moving out after she asked for a divorce.
It's mixed signals, man.
My wife and I started the process of separation late last year at her request. The living situation has become very challenging. Some basic info. My wife and I have been married for close to 7 years in California. We are in our late 30s. She has decided that she wants to find out who she is away from me and wants to divorce to start over, and maybe we can find each other again. She feels since I have always given her everything, she's become useless as a human and can't contribute to our relationship. She says she still loves and respects me, but wants more from our relationship and from herself. We have no children. I don't want a divorce, but she is pretty determined at this point. By the way, this comes from IC University 96.3, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I've always been the primary breadwinner of the household and support her in any endeavors she pursues. From photography, painting, design, plants, etc., she was always trying to find a new path. She works odd jobs and at this point brings in maybe less than $10K to the household per year. Wow, less than $10K per year. Ouch. When we got together, she was burnt out on a career and started trying to find a new path. She has made it clear that she doesn't want anything from our assets, as it would be stealing my effort. We own 4 properties, 2 cars paid off, about $600K plus investments, and no debt other than mortgages. I've brought this up multiple times that we can divvy out our assets to get her started, but she is very against it. Her family is fairly wealthy from outside the USA, and she wouldn't have trouble getting decent financial support from them.
I feel like she's like always been super wealthy and always had people kind of like supporting her, and she's like, I want to make it on my own.
Yeah.
I want to see what's out there in the real world.
Yeah, I feel like if she didn't have that life growing up already, she wouldn't just get that from the husband.
Yeah.
Her therapist convinced her to do a trial separation before committing to divorce. When we started the separation process, it was very difficult to be in the same house together. She said that she wanted to move out, and I supported her in this. The primary issue is that she doesn't have much money. She's got $500 in her private checking, so I told her that she could have whatever she wanted. We had over $80K in our savings at the time and said that she could get started with that. She refused. She said the money was my effort and it would be stealing. Despite my efforts of telling her it's our money and not my money, she continued to decline. I said that I could loan her the money, but she refused and said that I was manipulating her to take money and would have more control over her. Interesting. She said that she wanted to save up and move out. My heart was breaking every day staying in the house. While not working, I would just lay in bed and cry. I decided to stay with family in Indiana for a while. She was upset by this, as she said that she was the one that was supposed to leave the house. But you refused to leave the house. So
like, I was supposed to make it on my own in the big city.
That's like when siblings, like an older sibling is like, I was supposed to get married first. It's like, well, find someone then.
Then do it.
Yeah. Like, sorry. I told her that she wasn't making progress quick enough to move out and I needed to leave because I was really sad and depressed. While I was visiting family, I made the decision to buy a very small condo close to my family. I figured I could live closer to family and she could stay in the current house until she was ready to figure out what she wanted to do. I consulted her about me moving. At first, she was supportive of this, but was still upset that she would stay in the house and rely on me to pay the mortgage. I offered money again and told her to set all the terms, but was just met with hostility. She told me I was being controlling and manipulative. When I asked her to clarify how she viewed I was doing that, or I would express that that was not my intention, she would get more upset. Things just remained static for some time. A couple of weeks ago, I came back to our house to pack the remainder of my belongings. Our relationship seemed to be doing well and even seemed like we might pull through this. Then she just broke down tonight. She said that it's not fair that I have money and can move away, that I'm disrespectful towards her and that I can just throw my money around and go have fun. I said that I didn't view moving as fun and starting in a new city where I have very few connections is going to be difficult for me. I told her I wasn't trying to be disrespectful and asked how I can support or what are some options we can move forward with. She just kept coming back to how angry she is with me. I figured maybe she was just really upset and just needed to vent. So I just did my best to listen and empathize with her viewpoint.
Poor man.
I know, it sounds like she might be the one manipulating him.
Absolutely, I think she is.
Yeah, she's trying to get control of her life.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to steal from that, but that also means that she doesn't want to leave because she wants to make her own money.
Yeah.
But also her husband can't leave because that's not fair.
I think she has this whole idea in her life, like about what her life should be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this fantasy that she doesn't actually understand the reality of.
Yeah.
She's like, if I just leave my husband, I can start anew and have this dream life. But then she's like, oh, wait, my husband is actually going to leave me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, my husband's leaving the house that we spent. Oh, wait, I don't have money to do what I want to do.
Because she was like, maybe we'll find our way back to each other. And she's now not going to know where he is. Yeah. And that is probably stressing her out. After her attacks started to get more personal and mean, I asked her what my options are. She yelled at me saying that she doesn't care about my options. It's her options that she's concerned about and she feels like she doesn't have any. So she's angry at me and calling me an a-hole for moving while she feels stuck. So you're wrong, girl. It's not about your options. It's about OP's, you silly goose. After that portion of the conversation, she told me that she just wants to cry in peace and wishes that she could go get a hotel for the night. I offered that I could leave to stay somewhere else for the night or pay for her hotel. She started yelling at me that I'm an a-hole, that I'm trying to steal her wish of staying in a hotel. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
She started saying some pretty mean things and I didn't like how she was treating me with name calling. So I told her that I was going for a walk. She mockingly told me to stay at a hotel and have fun. I walked to a diner to have a cup of coffee and read a book. She called me about an hour later asking where I was. I told her and she responded, so are you spending the night there? I'm going to bed. And then hung up. That was around 8:45 p.m.
Oh my goodness.
I walked back to the house and she went to bed when I got home. Am I doing something wrong by moving? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Am I the a-hole? And there are some comments, but what do you think?
I think that you need to not think about your wife anymore. I think that don't think about, am I doing something wrong? Whatever. What do you need?
Yeah.
What is going to be the most beneficial for your health?
Exactly.
And, mind.
Exactly.
Or peace of mind. And I think that might be moving out.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to do it anyway. Yeah, because especially since she has made the decision to look out for herself and clearly is not thinking about how you feel at all because she literally just dropped the divorce bomb on you.
Yeah.
Like that is something that you need to heal from, whether you might find your way back to each other or not. Like that's something that needs to deal with because this came out of nowhere, it seems.
Yeah.
And even though she's not thinking about you, you got to think about you. No one else will.
No one else is going to think about you unless you think about you.
So there are some comments. Comment number 1 says, not the a-hole. Your wife is a mess and needs therapy ASAP. I feel like she's projecting. Her claim that you are stealing anything by offering her financial support to achieve her own accomplishments, moving out, finding a creative career path, or whatever, is actually kind of delusional. I get her sentiment that she can't stay in a relationship where she has herself started to hate to a seriously worrisome degree, but as you tell the story, I actually see no option for you to help her or save this relationship. She needs help and you need distance from her. Stay strong. Opie says she's in therapy but doesn't want to go anymore. She is very distrusting of the medical system. My friends are telling me that I need to really cut ties and move on. Just emotionally difficult. Someone else responds, I totally get that. It's written all between the lines in your post that you are still in love with her. But if the actual reality is as you stated is, she is no longer in love with you and it will continue to harm you, trying to make something work as in your marriage that she wants to destroy by any means. And okay, no one can force her to therapy. But maybe therapy can be a good and healthy way for you to deal with your feelings. Someone else responds, I disagree that she is no longer in love with him. She's having an existential crisis and is unhappy with her life. She wants to change it, but isn't sure exactly what she needs to change or how it will affect her. She needs to change, but is scared of it. So she's lashing out at the person closest to her because that's always been a safe option. She is taking him for granted and will be hit by reality when she realizes that he's not coming back. I can see this ultimately ending in her unaliving herself. Okay.
Oh my God.
That's kind of drastic. I don't know if it'll go there.
Yeah.
But I kind of do agree with that comment a little bit. Like, if they've been married for a while, I feel like there's a way to come back from this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, definitely sucks. But like, if it was just the divorce and like she wanted to find herself and then she went off and did that, then yeah, it's probably over. But the fact that she is like freaking out and it like doesn't really know what to do with herself kind of feels like this is just like like a cry for help in a way.
Yeah, I could totally see that. But there's not really much OP can do if she's not willing to get medical help.
No, exactly.
And she keeps pushing him away.
Right. Like the only way that it really could get better is if she kind of puts in that effort.
Yeah.
Commenter number 2 says, not the a-hole. She has no idea what she wants to do besides being pissed off and giving you crap. She complains that she has no options, then won't let you give her any or exercise any of your own. I feel like she's watched some movie where a bored housewife leaves her dull life and goes on a wild adventure of self-discovery, but like those romanticized movies, hasn't considered how she's supposed to afford it. The difference being that a movie can just ignore that problem, but real life can't. And now she's angry at herself for doing something so dumb. I would tell her that you're moving out and go live in the condo or wherever. Then just do it. Don't worry about what options she does or doesn't have. She's the one who wants the magical divorce of self-discovery and is refusing to do anything further about it or take help. You don't have to hang around putting up with her anger and insults and frustration over it. Comment number 3 says, did the therapist not recommend any couples counseling? She isn't making any sense. I don't know if that's because she's not telling you the whole truth or because she's having some kind of identity crisis, but it'd be nice to know for you. So you could either move on with understanding or hold on with hope. Opie says, we started with marriage counseling, but she said that our therapist was taking my side and didn't like her. So she wanted to do individual therapy instead. We have been doing that, but she's getting to the point where she doesn't like her therapist now. And that just might be because they're calling out your behavior.
Yeah.
Sorry, girl. That's what you gotta self-reflect in
the therapist
therapy.
is like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. And she's like, my therapist is out to get me.
Yeah. There is an edit. Thanks for all the support and feedback so far. Just a note on mental health and therapy. My wife was recently diagnosed to have bipolar 2.
This is relevant.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
She's very skeptical of the diagnosis and refuses medication. I haven't done well in understanding this mental health issue. We started marriage therapy in November, but only lasted a few sessions. She said that the therapist took my side too much. My wife had tried a variety of therapists in her years together, but usually stops after a month or two because she thinks that they're dumb. Edit number 2, there has been a ton of constructive input. Thank you for that. It's a lot to read, but I'm trying to read it all. I want to mention a few things about jobs, family, and divorce. Before we were married, she had a strong, successful career over 10 years. She was extremely burnt out and decided to find a new career. She's been doing that since we have been together and generally won't settle for basic jobs. She is trying to find something to advance her career paths, but with little success. On family, she doesn't have the most supportive family. They make her out to be the bad guy, which makes her angry. If she stayed with her family, I think it would do more harm than good. I've messaged her father about asking him to be supportive of his daughter, but I know that they are upset as well. On divorce, I've been dragging my feet on this. I keep telling myself that it might get better, that I can be a better husband and she can be a better wife. I know it seems delusional at this point, but divorce is not something that I wanted, and I struggle to get my mind there. It's hard to see my wife as a mean or vindictive person. I've always tried to see the amazing things in her and to be supportive. There are moments in these past months where she tells me that she's crazy and that she is hurting me. She has moments of reflection and grief on how she reacts to the situations. So I get hooked back in that this can still be resolved.
This is like very much like bipolar.
Yeah.
This is, yeah.
Edit number 3, she approached me this morning. She apologized for the way that she treated me yesterday. She said that she thinks it's better that I do move out and she thinks that she isn't good for me. I didn't say much and just agreed with her. When I started to agree with her, she started to backtrack and started to get mad again. She was going back to last night's issues and she left crying and blaming me again. Yeah, that's hard. She was definitely like looking for
him to reassure her and say like, no, you shouldn't.
Like rather than just apologizing and like things resolving that way, she kind of just wanted to just have him tell her that like it's fine and she's okay.
Oops. Yep.
So story time. Okay, story time. I feel like she isn't getting a completely fair shake in all this. I made this thread specifically about her anger towards me for moving out, but I'm not innocent in our relationship and have been far from the perfect husband. This will be a long read, so feel free to ignore. Don't worry, OP, we will not ignore. We're going to read this whole thing. Buckle up. I'm going to cover how and why we got married, our perspectives on a marriage, and a brief timeline that led us here. My perspective on a healthy marriage is that we are each confident in ourselves. We want each other and not need each other. We support each other and cheer each other on. We are there to help bring out better versions of ourselves. We listen, empathize, and respect one another. Her perspective, that I learned much later, is that we need to create a family together. Not with kids, but that we have a life project, such as having the same jobs or hobbies. That we are always with each other in every moment. That we move slowly in life. An example that she likes to use is that if we are walking in a park, there should be moments where we see a beautiful plant and sit there and contemplate the plant. That we are always on the move, exploring our surroundings. That we have the same schedules, as in when she gets up, I get up, and when she goes to bed, I go to bed. Some people viewed our relationship as a Hallmark story. She was a foreign exchange student at my dad's house 22 years ago. I lived with my mom and would visit my dad. We had crushes on each other and she invited me to prom. We dated very briefly before she went back to her home country. We fell out of contact when we went to college. Fast forward 15 years and my dad and he is going to pass away. Oh no. I reach out to her asking if she wants to say any goodbyes. We start talking a lot and she decides to come see him in person. We fall madly in love, brought us back to teenage years. My dad recovers, or so we think. We want to stay together and not worry about long distance, so we get married. 2 weeks after that, my dad passed away. Oh, I tried to be the stable person for my family and never really had a chance to grieve, nor did I go to therapy. When we first got together, I didn't need to work much. We were very active physically and mentally. A few months after my dad passed away, we went on a road trip with friends, and then one of them passed away in a motorcycle accident. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I felt like I was surrounded by people passing away. I didn't go to therapy, and I reverted into a computer screen. I played lots of games to distract myself. We still did a lot of things together and traveled a fair amount, but not up to her standards. I didn't really explore the city much with her and wasn't good at getting her involved in my friend circle. At one point, I told her that it's important that she makes her own friends. My friend circle at the time were all coworkers. She expressed her concerns to me about gaming and exploring the city, and I took what she said seriously. I said I need help working through this and want her patience and support. I unfortunately didn't get that. Fast forward, and I think things are getting better. When I ask her, she says that things are better, but in reality, she is harboring loads of resentment. And then the pandemic hits. We are with each other 24/7 and I work remote. The pandemic was kind of fun for the first 6 months. We created a cafe on our back patio where we were the only guests. We had Netflix binge days, board games, and family Zoom calls. I'm getting bored out of my mind at some point and play a lot of games again. I think this is okay because she is watching TV, handcrafts, etc. Later, I find out that she wanted us to be doing a family project together. Not something that we were both interested in, but something that she's passionate about. So in this case, breakfast was extremely important to her. So I made adjustments to get up earlier to start making breakfast with her. The theme here is if she is bothered by something, I do my best to adjust within reason. I'm far from perfect in this and I do fail, but always try again. I'm a fairly introspective person and want to become a better human and husband. The main issue overall with this is that even when I adjust, she still holds resentment. Also, an important bit of information, my wife has some medical issues that knocks her out of commission for about 5 to 7 days a month. Every time this has happened for the past 6 years, I take care of her. Physical necessities like food, medicine, massages, and emotional necessities like listening, comfort, support, lots of hugs. 4 years into our marriage, my 13-year-old dog is diagnosed with congestive heart failure.
Can't catch a break.
Can't catch a break. Man. I've had my baby girl since she was 2 months old. I spent a lot of time taking care of her and thousands on vet visits. I started not going on trips, not going out for some activities, and generally staying home a lot. Going to dinner or under 3-hour events were fine, but I generally didn't leave my dog alone for long. Because we were home so much, I would entertain myself when my wife went out with friends or she was doing things. But she had grown resentful more that we weren't doing anything because of the dog. This happened for like 2 years. She felt like she sacrificed her life to come to a country that she didn't want to be in or liked. That it would be okay if I gave her the attention that she deserved. So she felt alone. This broke my heart. That feels like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? We're 4 years in?
Yeah.
It's 6 years at this point, and you're telling me now that you don't like this country?
Yeah, it's
you
like
didn't
maybe
want to
we
be
could have
here?
talked about this before.
Yeah, before you moved here, we got married.
Yeah, she's like, I've been feeling this the whole time.
Yeah,
I never brought it up, but
yeah,
we have to move.
and I have resented you this whole time
It's
too.
your fault. I know I never told you, but you should have read my mind.
Exactly. But we will never resent you if you go to iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime, because you're going to find full episodes with more stories just like this one. It's true. Get on over there. And there is a little bit more to the story, but yeah, do we have any final thoughts before we move on?
It seems like they've been together a total of 6 years.
They've been married for 6 years, but
yeah.
it does feel like they got married pretty fast.
Yeah.
So
I think the same thing. I think that your marriage cannot be fixed without both of you working to fix it. And right now she's not working to fix it.
yeah, exactly. Like it's just kind of all of a sudden like, oh, I have problems when
Yeah.
everything seemed pretty perfect at
Yeah.
first.
And
So
I mean, like it does seem like she has mental health problems, but she's not willing to actually work or get help for them.
yeah, exactly. So there's a little bit more to the story. When my dog passed away, I was a mess, but I vowed to build a better family with her. We traveled for close to 3 months. We started planning to move somewhere and start exploring the world. I thought things were going great. I wasn't playing games anymore. We were very active again physically, and we were planning for the future. Then she dropped the divorce part on me a few days after my birthday.
Oh, jeez.
Gosh.
Terrible timing.
After seeing all the comments about bipolar 2, I think it's always been an active part of our relationship. I've seen this pattern before, but thought it was my fault. I have a hard time distinguishing what is a normal relationship and what is not at this point, or if I'm a piece of crap or not. From the outside perspective, our friends and family think that I'm extremely good to my wife. From her perspective, not so much, depending on her mood. This is a very, very high level overview, but hopefully gives more context and empathy towards her. There is an edit number 4. Thank you everyone for your input. I read every single comment and message, though don't have time to respond to all. All this feedback gave me pause and encouragement. The overwhelming majority of you have been supportive and practical. I will be applying what I have learned in the meantime and frequent a therapist more. I move out next Thursday and will provide an update on how things go when I'm settled. Wish me luck. Oh boy. And that is the end of that story.
There you go, man.
Wow. Yeah. There's not much else you could do.
No.
Try to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Try to talk to her and empathize with her. But if a little distance is what you guys need, then maybe that's what you need.
I'm hoping that you guys you get that distance, you move out. She has her like finding herself moment and then hopefully comes around and sees like, oh, I need help.
But that is the end of that story and the end of the episode.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.